Next man up, 102.5, The Game. Jake Lyman, joined by Cory Curtis from News 2, Parker Kelly behind the glass. We are broadcasting live from the Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville studios, home of the $99 yearly BI membership, where the buzz is always about great service. Fun show planned for today. Mike McCoy introduced as the interim head coach of the Titans yesterday. Titans will hit the practice field later on today, preparing for Mike Vrabel's return to Nashville on Sunday when the Titans take on the Patriots. We'll talk a little hockey. We'll talk a little college football. Cory, excited to have you in. It's definitely been a busy week since the last time we had you on.
I'll just say you're welcome. That's what I usually do to the guys on Monday morning.
I love it.
No, it's, you know what, there's plenty to talk about. There's plenty that's divisive with people right now. And whenever you have change, it's going to be divisive, and that's fine. And that's fine. You just have to respect, I would say, listen and respect what everyone has to say and see where they're coming from. And there's always room for everyone to learn a little bit, or at least consider another side to things.
Right. And there's obviously a lot of different layers to what has happened over the last few days. Brian Callahan fired on Monday, and press conference on Monday night where, you hear from Chad Brinker and Mike Borgonzi, and
did we hear from Borgonzi?
maybe two or three times. He most of the time it was.
You remember when Keyshawn Johnson had to wake up Ditka on the set?
Yes,
it was reminiscent of that.
I just love it. Was always Brinker would get a question he kind of didn't want to answer, and it's like, Mike, I think you'd have a good answer.
Well, I think he was trying to be respectful to him.
Right, he was trying to keep him involved.
Like, hey, this isn't all me. And I think Borgonzi looked like, hey, I want nothing to do with this. You just answer it.
Yeah, I think there was only 2 or 3 questions that Mike Borgonzi actually got full answers to.
Yeah, well, I mean, look, nobody was saying Mike or Chad. The questions were to the two of them.
Right.
Who's going to answer this? And, that's when you put 2 guys up there, that's what's going to happen. All right. Because who made the decision? Well, all of us. Okay. Well, then either one of you answer this question. All right. Because we don't know.
It was funny, especially when you kind of assume that Amy Adams-Strunk was the catalyst of this decision,
force,
right? And
well, it certainly doesn't happen unless she signs off on it.
Correct. Yeah, they're not firing Brian Callahan and then letting Amy Adams-Strunk know after. Amy, guess what we just did this morning?
We just burned like $12 million of your money, and I know you've done that before, so you're good with it.
Right. So Amy Adams-Strunk obviously was a driving force for the decision to fire Brian Callahan. And you've got Chad Brinker and Mike Borgonzi, who knows whether they were in favor of this decision or not. They had to go answer for it. And we got some interesting answers from both those guys. Mike McCoy was introduced yesterday.
Yeah.
And overall, I think I was impressed by the way Mike McCoy stood up there. And you could tell that he is ready for the challenge to step back into a head coaching role. And I like the answers that he had. We'll talk about the players, not plays, in a couple of minutes here.
That was the most important thing he said in the entire thing. And I know everybody said, well, every coach says that. Well, he said it. Now is he going to do it? Because Callie didn't do it. All right. And, we'll see if McCoy, in fact, does it. But my expectations were very low.
Right.
Because I do not know Mike McCoy. We have not been allowed to speak to Mike McCoy because he's not a positional coach.
There's really no reason to speak to Mike McCoy until now.
But when he got up there, I thought he had a clear command presence. And I thought the moment wasn't too big for him. And while he expressed empathy, he did not express grief and sorrow about, where they are and, how hard this job is going to be. He expressed command and optimism moving forward and expectations. Is he going to be able to pull through on that stuff? I don't know, but you never get a second chance to make a first impression. And he made a favorable first impression, which was really important in a crisis time.
Yes.
All right. I mean, if George Bush had dirted that ball after 9/11, that would have been bad. All right. But he hummed it in there. And so, for McCoy to get up and hum one down the plate, to start things doesn't mean that the next one's going to be good, but it was a good way to start.
Yeah, obviously results on the field are the most important thing here. Do we see improvement from this team under Mike McCoy?
And the quarterback.
Yes, the quarterback is the driving force of all of that.
Yes,
but I think his opening statement where he addressed the fans was one of the more important things he said.
Sure.
And you could tell that he's not just going to be a lame duck interim head coach, right? Like you talk about these interim staffs and, door closes and they're looking for their next job and maybe they're not as invested in this team as they were before. Mike McCoy went up there and said, fans, we are going to do everything we can to put a good product on the field for you. And hey, this is the NFL. We're not mailing it in here. We're going to go out there and we're going to work every day to turn this thing around. Who knows?
He said, in fact, when asked about how do you keep everybody invested, and he was like, that's easy. This is the NFL.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're not invested in this, you won't be here.
Right.
And, I thought that matter of factness, the privilege it is to be in the league, no matter the circumstances, was important.
Yeah, and you mentioned the empathy that he showed while also not the grief. I thought his answer about talking to Brian Callahan was good, of saying like, hey, we feel for him. Like, families are involved, kids are involved, but this is a great opportunity for me to step in, and I'm honored at the opportunity.
Yeah.
Overall, I really liked what we heard from Mike McCoy, but again, words are only words. He's got to go out there and put a better product on the field. And it starts with Cam Ward. We're going to get into Cam Ward coming up throughout this first hour, as it has not been good for the last few weeks.
No.
And you can blame that on the offensive line. You can blame it on play calling. You can blame it on wide receivers. But it does start with Cam Ward. The accuracy hasn't been good enough. He's holding the ball too long and
drifting.
They have to be able to fix some of these bad habits that are forming for the young quarterback. Mike McCoy said that that's going to be their focus. They are going to try and build an offense around Cam Ward and do some of the things that he does best for the rest of the season.
Which is where this all should have started.
Right.
And I don't want to, we can get into that later.
Yep.
It's a whole topic of how you build a young player and a young football team, and what you agree with and what you don't agree with. And we have back-to-back examples of trying to make guys into what they are not.
Yes.
And we can talk about that later.
Yes. I think Brian Callahan wanted to implement his system rather than play around the quarterbacks that he had. And that's how we get to where we are now. Before we get into that, I did want to mention Femi Oladejo to the IR.
Yep.
And
I think PK reported he's got a broken leg.
Yes, fractured leg. PK reporting they hope it's not season ending.
Yeah, but that's possible. I mean, if it's a hairline fracture, it could be 3-4 weeks and he's back.
There are different degrees of fractures that can happen.
Absolutely.
So, some of them are season ending, some aren't. So we'll see where Femi ends up. It is tough for a guy who did finally make some plays on Sunday.
He actually made a play where he wasn't unblocked. He defeated a block.
He did.
And made a tackle in the backfield. I mean, I think it was the tight end was trying to block him, and he just stoned that dude and then dropped, I think, the running back.
Yeah, 5-yard loss.
Yeah, it was a nice play. It was an aggressive play. It was a strong play. Here's a crazy stat from that game. For as horrible as that game was, at halftime, the Titans had more yards than the Raiders did.
Right.
71-55.
Right. I mean, the Titans, they had 27 yards on their first 20 plays from scrimmage.
Yeah.
And then the last drive before Cam Ward threw the pick, they at least started to show some rhythm.
When I heard the post-game comments from like Howie Long and all the guys on the set, oh, well, the Raiders really started to show who they are and what they want to be. And, in the run game, I'm like, he averaged 3.3 yards per carry.
Yeah.
3.3.
Yeah.
That gets you benched. All right. And he had 68 yards.
Right.
I like Ashton Genty, so don't get me wrong.
Me too.
They stink. The Raiders are not good. They were just less not good than the Titans were.
No.
And really, another controversial call may have saved them.
Yeah.
The call the Titans simply cannot get. The arm moving
forward. I said it on Monday that I have just resigned myself to, if that is ever a play that is involved in a Titans game, it's going the other way.
Here's my feeling on that. On that call in particular, and I know I'm going against what the rule is. I think almost all of those are fumbles, because for me, It's about control.
Right.
Are you in control? I don't care what way your arm is moving. Are you controlling the ball or not?
Are you throwing the ball or pushing the ball?
Cam Ward, later in the game, they got that call.
Yes, he got the tuck rule.
But that's a fumble. He did not intend to throw the football.
No.
All right. So he dropped
sure.
it. He dropped it. He was not trying to throw the ball. That rule needs to change. Okay. I don't care that his arm's moving forward. He was not trying to throw it. So if he's not trying to throw it,
and the ball
it's
comes
a fumble.
Out. Yeah. I'm with you. And it all goes back to the Josh Dobbs play, right? Like,
yes,
I honestly,
which is still a terrible call and cost them a spot in the playoffs.
The Titans have gotten that call going against them on defense at least 3 times since the Josh Dobbs
against
play.
The Chargers.
It was Herbert, Derek Carr in the opener in 2023 or 20.
What about the Saints game with the Byard scoop and score?
Right, yeah, that was Derek Carr in the Saints game.
Yeah,
so that one, Herbert, and then on Sunday, so at least 3 times it's gone against the Titans. I would argue Josh Dobbs' arm was moving forward more than any of them. And they didn't even take time to review that play in the Jaguars game.
No, they're like, hey, Jags are going to the playoffs.
Yeah, they just kind of blew the whistle and said, kick the extra point. We're off on a tangent, but yes, that is it's a play that I will never understand how they officiate it because
I don't think they know how
there's no consistency on it whatsoever.
Yeah, it's a fumble.
Quickly back on Femi, we were texting because I mentioned this on the show Monday or yesterday that Jonathan Vilma was acting like Femi Oladejo was the second coming of Lawrence Taylor.
I like Jonathan Vilma, but that was a bad day.
It was hilarious. I laughed out loud multiple times at, man, they're gonna Femi Oladejo.
That's a big loss.
I've been really impressed by him. He has been a player for this team. Yeah, that's a huge loss for this team. I'm like, what has Femi done through the first 6 weeks of the season?
Is it all the sacks he's racked up?
I could not stop laughing at that. But Femi is going to be out for at least 4 games. It'll be after the bye week before we possibly see the Titans' second round pick.
It's a shame after his best game.
Yes, you finally started to see him making some plays that weren't just, hey, you're unblocked.
Yes.
Find the ball.
Hey, Femi's in the backfield. Oh, nobody blocked him again. Yeah, no, he defeated blocks. And that was great. And I don't mean to make fun of Femi Oladejo because he could rip me in two. But he's a young player learning a new position, and he's probably playing before he's ready.
Yes.
But it was nice to see him make some plays.
Yeah, and I don't want to say that we're saying Femi has been horrible through 6 weeks. I don't think he's been horrible. He just he hasn't flashed very much.
But he's not ready.
He hasn't made a ton of plays. And to say that I've been really impressed with this guy. Ridiculous. It was.
Well, I mean, you look outside of Jeffrey Simmons, you can't say that about anybody on this football team.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. You could say Tony Pollard's a good player, but to say I've been really impressed, maybe Peter Skoronski.
Right. There's not a whole lot of players you can look at.
But Jeffrey Simmons is the only one you go, that guy is. I mean, that guy gets off the bus and you're like, damn, this is going to be a long day with that dude.
Yep.
There's just not enough of that on this football team.
615-737-1025 is the phone number. We love to hear from you. Our phone lines are driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. We will get to your phones coming up next. Time to dive into Cam Ward because the Titans season, you've got 11 games left. It's all about the young quarterback now. It already was kind of all about the young quarterback, but now that you fired the head coach, it's all about, can you develop Cam Ward throughout the final 3 months of this season? We'll dive into it coming up next. Jake Lyman, Cory Curtis from News 2, Parker Kelly with you on this Wednesday morning. Next Man Up, 102.5 The Game. That was Mike McCoy yesterday in his introductory press conference as the interim head coach. And maybe the most important quote of the day from him: players, not plays, as they try and build around Cam Ward the rest of the year. Jake Lyman, Cory Curtis, Parker Kelly with you here on Next Man Up 102.5 The Game. That was the quote that stood out the most from his press conference yesterday, was in terms of making changes to this offense, they want to focus on what the players do best, not what the system says that they should do. And we were just talking during the break about the screens that they continually run.
Oy.
And, running a screen to Tyler Lockett with Chim Dike blocking in front of him. But
that's a bad plan.
Right.
That's not a bad play. That's a bad plan.
And they run the screens over and over again. They ran back-to-back screens on the second drive of the game that went for a net 0 yards. And now you're in 3rd and 10.
Yeah.
But I told you during the break, they've probably run the boot out with Cam Ward with a crosser following along with him 4 times this year. And every time it's 15, 20, 25 yards.
I mean, his play action numbers are like 15%.
Yes.
I mean, the number of plays they run. And the success rate is way higher.
Right.
And so that's troubling that you would avoid plays that work. And I told you during the break, and I asked the fans to tap into their memory banks. A few years ago, the Bengals came to Nashville. I think Joe Burrow had a hurt wrist at the time, but he was playing through it.
Yeah.
And they ran flanker screen after flanker screen after flanker screen, and none of them worked. And they just kept doing it. And I was like, this is the worst offensive game plan I have ever seen. And they lost that game. I think it was 31-3.
Was that like week 3 or 4?
Yeah, it was early. Because I remember it was one you thought they were going to have a hard time winning.
Right.
And they just absolutely roasted them.
Yep.
And I thought that was the worst offensive game plan I've ever seen for a football game. And so when I saw that game plan re-implemented this week, I just went, you have got to be kidding me. Because we talked about completions, and those are completions.
Yeah. Cam Ward completed his first 6 passes of the game.
But we also talked about completing them to the tight ends, over the middle, and to receivers with a chance to run and make a catch. Catching it behind the line of scrimmage is not what we're talking about. Look, there's a time and a place for those plays. There's time and a place for everything. But when you have 9 throws total completions, I think PK had that number. I had 6 completions for 10 yards on screens. Okay. I went and looked at them all. All right. And PK said he looked at the chart. There were 9 completions at or behind the line of scrimmage. So he had, I think, 28 completions in the game. So 1/3 of them were at or behind the line of scrimmage. So basically like an extended handoff.
Right.
With a wide receiver blocking.
Run all solution right. Is the way they tag it, but it's a screen.
And I am not an offensive coordinator. It's a terrible game plan because you are shrinking the field. You've got 11 guys on defense. If you're on the 20, they got to defend 80 yards. All right. If every throw is at the line of a scrimmage, they got to defend 1. All right. You have made it infinitely easier to defend yourself. And I do not understand that. What it says to me is they didn't trust Cam Ward. They wanted him to complete more passes. They didn't trust his decision-making. They didn't trust his accuracy to make the throws down the field. And so they just called these silly little bubble screens, just like that game here in Nashville. They didn't trust Joe Burrow's wrist to be able to make the throws down the field, but they wanted him to play. So they threw all these silly slip screens that did not work. All right. So again, we bang the table, do what Cam Ward does well, throw over the middle, include the tight ends in the offense. All right. Get things going.
Get him on the move.
Him on the move. He throws well on the run. He doesn't sit well in the pocket right now.
Right.
He just doesn't.
The feet get a little scared.
He drifts. He has a hard time just planting there and looking.
Right.
And so until he does, you got to work with what you got, brother. I mean, it's just that simple.
Yeah, you gotta get him out of those bad habits, but he does do things well as a quarterback.
He's a quarterback.
There are things that he can do, and you have to be able to emphasize those instead of just saying, we're going to run 8 screens.
Okay. And this goes to the greater argument of, why did Brian Callahan fail? Why did he get fired? And you talked about it last segment, and talked about it coming into this segment, players, not plays.
Yeah.
Callahan, he said after last season, he was way too concerned with implementing his offense. And so he didn't spend enough time with the rest of the football team.
Yep.
So, that was number one. And that's a whole, his leadership structure is another segment. Let's just talk about the offense. All right. And so he has Will Levis. And what is Will Levis? He's your prototypical Oakland Raiders. And I said Oakland on purpose because I'm going back to those days with Al Davis.
Yeah.
Where he drops back. He's a big, strong guy, and he wants to throw the ball 80 yards downfield to Cliff Branch racing away for a touchdown. All right. That is what Will Levis is.
Yep.
Right. I mean, and he tried turning him into a surgeon, tried turning a gunslinger into a surgeon and saying, all right, you're going to drop down here. You're going to drop down here. It's not who he is. It's not, it's a square peg in a round hole.
Yep.
And you saw that. You saw Mike Vrabel get more out of a quarterback than you did. And that's unbelievable. That's unbelievable, but he did.
Right.
And now you've got Cam Ward, who's, not the bombardier that Will is, but he is more of a gunslinger even. And again, you're trying to run this, on point surgical attack where we're going to do this and we're going to do, instead of, because he talked about implementing things at Miami that he does well. What was that? Did you run any RPOs? That's a week to week thing. We kind of look, well, other teams run it. He likes to run it. I know it may not work, but he's good at it. And I guess that's the whole thing of, and you talked about the rollouts. We've seen like 4 of them this year.
And those are the most successful, consistent.
The guy's dragging across the field wide open.
Right.
And he puts it right on him. I mean, yes.
And we see it once a week. It's like.
Well, and then also, by the way, if it keeps working, teams will adjust. And then what you do, you adjust.
Yes.
And there's a counter to that.
You can layer your plays off of that and get the linebackers moving one way and then go back the other way.
But instead, we've got this manual. Well, this is my offense. And so we're going to keep calling these plays and doing this because I know this works with Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase and T. Higgins.
Yeah. And Mike McCoy, at least from what he said, seems like he's going to be a little bit more malleable, a little more flexible when it comes to, hey, we're not going to be structured into this is our system and this is what we are going to run.
And look, I know you got to develop the quarterback. I understand that.
Yeah.
But you start at a base and then you grow.
Yeah.
You don't give them the whole. It's like, they always say, what's the easiest way to eat a whale?
One bite at a time.
That's right.
Yeah.
They just like shove the whole whale in his mouth.
It has not been good for the Titans offense outside of one quarter so far this season. And Mike McCoy and this offensive staff, Bo Hardegree, still going to be calling the plays. They'll get their first chance against Mike Vrabel and the Patriots coming up on Sunday.
Were you surprised that Nick Holtz stayed?
Yes, I was. I thought the 2 guys, I mean, obviously Bill Callahan was going to be gone. He's not sticking around after Brian leaves. And I thought Holtz would be gone too, but I guess he's sticking around and we'll see. I don't really know how involved he's going to be.
I think if they had brought Bones Fossil to be the head coach, then they could have done that and made McCoy the OC.
Yeah.
But I think with McCoy as the head coach, they just left.
Right. Put everybody
and I'm not trying
roles.
To bang on Nick Holtz, but I'm what I'm talking about is this whole offensive system.
Yeah. And some loyalty there to maybe Brian Callahan would have made him resign. That was kind of my thought of hey, they grew up together. But no. Nick Holtz is sticking around.
Look, Nick Holtz needs the job.
That is a good point.
No, I mean, he does.
Yeah, it's true.
I mean, look, he's made more money than I'll ever make.
Right.
But I mean, I would think he's in no position. And also, he is an offensive coordinator in the National Football League. There's 32 of those.
Yeah. There's 32 head coaches. There's 32 offensive coordinators.
And if you quit because your buddy got fired, that does not make you look very good for the next job.
Yeah, that's fair.
Right.
That is fair. And he will be trying to get his next opportunity by hopefully improving this offense, which again, it's a low bar. 615-737-1025 is the phone number. Let's go to our phone lines driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Thomas on a car phone has been waiting patiently. Appreciate you waiting for us here. Thomas, what you got for us this morning?
Hey, my pleasure, guys. Good morning. Thanks for taking my call. I got two quick things. Number one, it kind of, to me, it all goes back to the fact that when he came in here as a first-time head coach, he brings in unproven coordinators and play callers. I mean, it makes absolutely no sense. And I mean, he himself didn't even call plays, and then he gives the play calling over to the quarterback's coach, which I still don't understand. It's like, what does your offensive coordinator do in the first place? He just fetch coffee or what? And my second thing is, like, kind of on that point, why is Mike McCoy not taking over play calling? Because I mean, under his
Because he's the head coach.
I mean, he had some. I mean, but I know that, but I'm saying he had all these high-powered offenses he was in control of. I mean, look at what he did with Phillip Rivers. He made Phillip Rivers. He was a comeback player of the year and had two of his best years in the league behind him. I mean, he's a proven play caller. We don't have one on this team, and it sucks. I mean, that's what I've been pumping for like this whole time.
Thomas, I don't completely disagree with you. Okay, so I respect absolutely what you have to say, and if Mike McCoy wanted to call the plays, I probably couldn't argue with it. But this team needs leadership, and they need a guy running the show. And Mike McCoy is it. Bo Hardigree has called plays before, and he's calling the plays that the head coach wants called. Now, that doesn't mean the head coach is calling the plays for him during the game, but as the week goes along and they're game planning, they're determining this is what we're going to run in these situations. We got these handfuls of plays. And so that's what Mike McCoy will be involved with during the week, is when they're putting that offensive game plan together. This is what our plan is to do. Now, when the game comes, Bo, you got to call these plays, all right? But these are the choices you have to pick from. So, yeah, I mean, Mike has been he's been an offensive coordinator 3 times. He's been a quarterback's coach 2 or 3 times. He's worked with a lot of good ones. You can argue whether he is a product of great players or if their great players are a product, of him in some way. But, he does know offense, okay, and he's been in the league for over 20 years. And so we'll see. But I understand what you're saying, and I think we're not completely disagreeing because I think his offensive input will be there.
Well, I hope so. I mean, I'm just saying up to this point, play calling has been atrocious.
Play execution's been even worse.
Right, exactly. But thanks, guys. I just wanted to touch on that because I've been texting on like every show, and I'm in and out of my car, and I don't hear if somebody responds or not. So thank y'all. I had to get on and talk about that.
That's all right.
Yeah,
Thanks
appreciate it. Thanks for calling, Thomas. And another point to be made about if Mike McCoy wanted to take over play calling, that's now 3 voices in Cam Ward's head in 7 weeks. Like that, maybe that's overblown because the play calls are going to be similar no matter what. But if you want at least some semblance of continuity for Cam Ward, keeping Bo Hardigree in his ear, I think would be helpful.
Well, and again, Mike McCoy is the head coach.
Yeah.
He understands that's the job, and that's what this team needs right now is they need a figurehead. They need that one fixed point for everyone to rally to, and that is way more important than him calling plays.
Yep. For sure. 615-737-1025 is the phone number. If you want to chime in, we'd love to hear from you. Our phone line is driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. We at 1025 The Game and Cromwell Media are thinking of the folks in Hickman and Humphrey counties who have been impacted by the ammunitions plant tragedy. When one Tennessean hurts, we all hurt. Jake Lyman, Cory Curtis, Parker Kelly, next man up here on 1025 The Game. That was Mike McCoy yesterday, asked why he's the right person to lead this team after Brian Callahan was fired on Monday. Thought it was a good answer and kind of what we were just talking about. Jake Lyman, Cory Curtis, Parker Kelly, next man up 102.5 The Game, about how Mike McCoy doesn't need to be a play caller. No. He needs to be the guy who can help this team get through some of those situations where, Brian Callahan struggled in those spots.
As a head coach, you need to be the guy that every player on the team looks to and says, he's in charge. He has the answers. He knows what's happening, what's going to happen, what needs to happen, and he's going to put us in position to do that. Now, if we don't do it, it's on us.
Yes.
But he's the guy, and I 100% believe in what he has to say, and I'm going to run through a wall for that guy. People think, well, nobody gets fired up to play for Callahan. That's not the issue. The issue is a belief in the guy and the confidence that he has you in position to succeed. That's it.
That is, I think, the disconnect here is it's like, yeah, Brian Callahan maybe wasn't the most fiery guy, but that you can be.
Was Tom Landry a fiery guy?
Right. You don't have to be Mike Vrabel.
No.
And stand up there and be the strongest leader of men ever.
Yeah.
But these guys have to be confident that you're going to put them in the best position to succeed. And I didn't see that from the Titans this year.
There are a lot of different ways to lead. All right. But I always go back to the movie Midway. All right. And this is the old one, not the new one.
Right.
With Gregory Peck. And he played Bull Halsey. And Bull Halsey, he got benched for the Battle of Midway because he had shingles. And Ray Spruance gets called in to lead the task force in the most important naval battle in American history. And he's like, I don't think I can do it like you did. And he's like, well, don't. He said, when you're in command, command. And that's what this is about. You've got to command. And that's what this team need. They don't need a play caller. All right. Now, yes, they need good play calls. And yes, they need a good offense. They need command. They need direction. They need belief. All right. Those are the things they need. All right. Otherwise, you got 53 cats running around the field in different directions. Okay. And that's what it looks like right now. When you're 4-19, 10-37, all right, 10-37.
Yep.
That's what it looks like.
It doesn't look like they're playing the same sport as a lot of the teams out there in the NFL right now.
No, I mean, look, that game Sunday is one of the worst things I've ever seen.
The offense, it looked like you threw a JV team out there to scrimmage the varsity team. Like that is what it looked like. And the Raiders are not good too.
The fact that the Raiders only won that game 20-10 should be embarrassing to them. Embarrassing.
I want to save the quote from the Athletic article from yesterday from Mike Silver because you haven't heard it, but there's a quote in there that kind of illuminates how bad it was for the Titans on Sunday. 615-737-1025 is the phone number. Let's go back to our phone lines driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Dustin from Hopkinsville has called in. Dustin, appreciate you calling in. What you got for us this morning?
Morning, guys. Just kind of reiterating what you guys were talking about and the last caller. I did like what I heard from him. It's all word salad for now.
Yes.
And it's not going to probably go to permission this Sunday. If I believe in anything, I believe in Mike Vrabel, and he is going to beat the brakes off of us. If he can lace up, he's going to lace up.
You know what else he's got?
If he can hit Jeff Simmons, he's going to face him.
He's got better players. He's got better players.
He does. He does. But the thing is, there's chains of commands, and the head coach, he takes the parts and pieces that the office puts together in the offseason. He gets the best he can out of it.
That's exactly right.
He takes the parts and pieces, the assistant coaches. He walks by when the tight ends coach is doing things with the tight ends. I don't like that. Let's implement this. And then he walks away, and it's their job to implement it.
That's right. And if he sees it's not being implemented correctly, then he comes over and shows them how to implement it correctly. I mean, that's right. You're exactly
probably one of the least important parts of being the head coach, unless he's calling the plays, is calling the plays. He implements all these things for Sunday. He gets you ready.
That's right.
He puts an atmosphere of leadership into the other leaders Everybody plays a role. He is just that guy that's got that swagger you see coming by. If you don't see swagger in him, you're not going to play for him. It's just like out on a construction site. He's pretty much the foreman.
It's interesting, Dustin, because who said it? I think it was McCoy said it yesterday about playing with a swagger. There's one guy on this team who plays with a swagger. One. And they need a lot more swagger.
Yep. Yeah. It's it hasn't been good for this team, and Mike Vrabel is probably not the guy you want to see across the way after this week.
I mean, look, this is the longest week of Amy Adams-Strunk's life right now.
Yep.
And, I say that. There's probably, there have been moments in her life worse of her football life.
Right.
This is bad.
Sunday could get rough. Appreciate the call, Dustin. 615-737.
And by the way, he's exactly right.
No, for sure.
He's exactly right.
Yes.
And he talked about running a construction site. In any business, it's the same thing. You have to empower your employees, you empower your managers to do their jobs, but they have to know that ultimately you're in charge. All right. And that even if they don't agree with you, they believe in you enough that they march forward with those orders anyway and do them to the best of their ability.
Right. And you hope Mike McCoy can be that type of coach for you for the rest of this season, and then get somebody in here permanently who can be the CEO type guy who, if it's a Mike McCarthy, if it's Arthur Smith, those guys have head coaching experience and know what it takes to be the leader of that room.
And that's what Mike said in that opening soundbite is, it was a long answer because I've done it before.
Right. And
I've done it before. I've done it all before.
For Brian Callahan, being a first-time head coach, being a first-time play caller, it all seemed to be too much for him. And it ended on Monday after a 4-19 record.
And like I said, whether I like a person or not doesn't matter here.
Right.
Because we could go into how I felt about, Mike Mularkey, Ken Wisenhunt, Mike Munchak. I mean, we can go into all of it. I can tell you what I thought of how they did their jobs.
Right.
All right. And I like Brian Callahan a lot. I just, I would fully expect him to disagree with me. I just don't think his priorities were in line when he took over.
Yes.
And I think that's ultimately kind of what has caught up to him here. And the product, look, they need a lot more players. There's no question about that. But I am also confident of this. The 53 guys they've got in the locker room are capable of a lot more than they're showing.
For sure. There is more talent on this team than what they've actually put on the field.
No, they're not getting the most out of it, without question.
615-737-1025 is the phone number. When we come back, we will have a couple more minutes before the top of the hour. Let's check in on the Preds. We'll get back to the Titans at 10 o'clock. Preds are halfway through their Canadian road trip, had their first regulation loss of the season last night in Toronto. We'll talk some Preds on the other side. Jake Lyman, Cory Curtis, Parker Kelly. Next man up here on 1025 The Game. Next man up, 102.5 The Game. Jake Lyman, Cory Curtis, Parker Kelly, wrapping up hour number 1 on this Wednesday. Lots more Titans talk coming. We'll spend all of the 10 o'clock hour on the Titans, but did want to check in on the Preds, who they're off to a strong start this year. 2-1-1 through their first 4 games. First regulation loss last night. But
third game in 4 days, by the way.
yes.
I mean, look, you play Saturday, then you play a matinee on Monday, and then you fly to Toronto from Ottawa and play on Tuesday. That's a tough assignment.
Yes.
And they got off to a predictably slow start yesterday, 0-2. And I know it sounds like I'm making excuses for them. That's a tough assignment.
It is. And it's not like Toronto's a bottom feeder team. Like, that's a good team.
Austin
You
Matthews
got
is
Austin
all right.
Matthews on the other side. Yeah. It's a pretty good team that you faced. And to be fair, the Preds, they responded after they went down 2-0.
Tied it up.
They scored twice in 38 seconds?
Yeah, and then Toronto called timeout and just got berated by the coach. Just went bonkers.
7-4 was the final, but we were talking about it off air. Doesn't quite show what that game was.
No, because it was 4-2. The Preds pulled the goalie. They made it 5-2. And then the Preds scored to make it 5-3.
Yeah.
They pulled the goalie again and made it 6-3. Preds score again and make it 6. So every time the Preds scored, it was 5-on-5.
Right.
And then they would pull the goalie. And that's what happened on the 7th goal as well after they made it 6-4. So they scored 3 empty netters, which is crazy. And that's why they lost 7-4. But by the way, also Eustace Anunin started in goal in that game. And the Preds defense has been much improved over last year. And again, yesterday, a tough assignment, but the 7 goals I don't think are reflective of their defensive effort.
Right. And UC Saros, he was in there for the first 3 games, and he has been awesome.
He's been electric.
He has been the UC Saros that you hoped you were getting when you signed him to that 8-year extension. And you're not going to win every game. You got 5 points through 4 games.
Took him 8 games to do it last year.
Right. That's 5 more points than you had at this point yet last year. So you got Montreal coming up tomorrow night, and then on Saturday, you've got Winnipeg. If you could even get back home with 2 points, just go win one of those games. I think you feel pretty good coming back home for 5 straight. At that point, you might be 3-2-1.
Yeah.
It's a great start.
Yeah.
And I think there's a lot of reasons why this team is better. You mentioned the defense. I think Nick Perbix has been really good early on.
The other day.
Yep, scored his first goal as a Predator. You'll get Nick Hague back at some point in the next couple of weeks, you hope, which was another big addition this offseason. But, man, Jonathan Marchessault and that third line
with Holla
and Bunting, that is exactly what the Preds needed that line to be so far. It's early, but those guys have looked like a completely different bunch than what we saw from Marchessault last year.
That third line is typically kind of your sandpaper hard work line, and that's a third line that has that, but also has scoring
lots
ability.
Of skill.
I mean, because Bunting can put the puck in the net. Marchessault can put the puck in. I mean, Marchessault scored 40, 50 goals in a season.
Yes.
And then, Holla is a grinder. He is a 12-goal guy. But it works.
He wins almost every faceoff too.
Yes, but he's got 2 goals already.
Yes.
And, the goal he scored the one yesterday. Yeah. It was
that was the second one, right?
Yeah, he was with Cole Smith. With Cole Smith.
Smith forced the turnover in the corner.
Yeah, and then it went over to the other side of the wall, and somebody else won the battle there, and the puck came out to Holla. So they won 2 battles on the boards to get the puck in front of the net, and that's what was missing last year. They weren't winning those battles.
Yes.
All right. And so, when you hear about like tenacity and forechecking and grinding, not every goal is this gorgeous 3-on-2 dipsy-do Steven Stamkos dumps to Ryan O'Reilly.
Yeah.
And you're like, wow. You get those and they're nice and you need those, but there's a lot more goals scored that way in the National Hockey League through effort and grit and just being in the right place at the right time.
That was the Stamkos drop off to O'Reilly on Monday was hilarious because it's just like
nobody thought that was happening.
What are you doing?
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, okay. Like
it's Steven Stamkos. He's gonna shoot the puck.
Right. You got 1-on-1 with the goalie. Like, shoot. And it didn't look like it was gonna work out for a second, but puck finds the back of the net no matter what.
Can I just say something?
Yeah.
I'm glad he scored. I want to see Stamkos shoot that puck.
Yes. Stamkos only with 1 point through the first 3-4 games. So Luke Evangelista's come back. He's had a couple of points so far.
Yeah, I mean, he's probably got to work his way back into
Right.
shape. And by the way, Matthew Wood is down in Milwaukee. He's got to work his way back up. But that's a big body who's going to rejoin this team along with Nick Hague.
Yes.
I mean, those are two 6'4", 6'5" guys. One's a forward, one's a defenseman. Barry has made this team. It's funny because when Barry coached here, he had a lot of really small teams, undersized teams. He is overcompensating. I mean,
yes,
they are getting huge.
They are loading up on big guys.
Yes.
And you'd think Matthew Wood, who's, again, he's down in Milwaukee after being injured, kind of a rehab assignment, you would assume.
I would think he'll be back.
The guests talking with Max Hers on Friday, and Max joins us every Friday from 9 to 10 on the program. He seems to think that will be the corresponding move when Brady Martin goes back to juniors. So
you think Martin won't stay?
That's what Max was saying, and Martin hasn't played the last 2 games.
Yes, I was curious about that.
I would make the assumption that Martin, after his 9 games are up, will go back to juniors. You'll slide Ryan O'Reilly back into the center on the top line, and then Matthew Wood takes over on the wing.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Why?
The assumption is that, you want to, I've heard the term, you want to overcook your young prospects. And we'll see. Brady Martin, when he's out there on the ice, his job is to prove everybody wrong and make them not be able to send him back.
He can play what, 10 games?
9 games.
9 games. So he's got 7.
Yes. Yep.
So they played 4?
They played 4. He's only played 2.
Okay.
So I'm not sure, but based on what we talked with Max, who, we trust Max Hers over at Preds Radio, he seems to think it's more likely he gets sent back to juniors, but there's always a chance.
I just think it's amazing that he starts on the first line.
I know.
And you're going to send him back to juniors.
That was my thought process too, was like, hey, you're not going to send him back.
Did you not win?
2, yeah, you got 3 points with Brady Martin on the ice.
Yeah,
so,
I don't think he cost you either of those games.
No, but the second game, I want to say he only played 11 minutes.
Okay.
So they've been kind of sheltering him a little bit. So
that's fine.
It's it'll be an interesting decision from Barry Trotz. And Barry, he joins DVD every Tuesday. I didn't get a chance to listen yesterday when he was on, but we'll have to listen back and see if he had any thoughts on Brady Martin.
I mean, look, he's an 18-year-old kid.
Yep.
And he's got to get bigger. He's got to get stronger. He's what I would call farm strong right now.
Yeah.
And I get all that, but he's also really good. And I don't mind seeing really good play.
And it definitely is exciting to have your 5th overall pick on the NHL team at that age. So that's going to be something that we have to keep an eye on the next couple of weeks. But Preds off to a good start. They've got 5 points, through their first 4 games. Back in action tomorrow night.
And I agree with you. 2 points in this next 2 games would be great.
Yes. And you get Montreal tomorrow. That's a 6:00 puck drop, 5:00 pregame right here on 102.5 The Game. We'll take a quick break. When we come back into the Titans, what should Tennessee be looking for in their next head coach? And also the Athletic article from Mike Silver yesterday, a couple of very revealing quotes in that story about what the Titans culture, what their locker room looks like right now. Jake Lyman, Cory Curtis, Parker Kelly, next man up, 102.5 The Game. Next man up, 102.5 The Game. Second hour on this Wednesday. Jake Lyman, joined in studio by Cory Curtis from News 2. Parker Kelly on the ones and twos. We are broadcasting live from the Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville Studios, home of the $99 yearly BI membership, where the buzz is always about great service. Back into the Titans here. Brian Callahan fired on Monday. Mike McCoy takes over as the interim head coach with 11 games to play in the season. Titans will have an extended opportunity to start scouting their next head coach, vetting some of the guys. You know, a decision is not going to be made until January after the season ends, but they do have 3 months now to start to prepare for that search. And I asked this question yesterday, but wanted to get your thoughts on it too, Cory. What qualities are you looking for in the next head coach of the Tennessee Titans?
You're going to ask me that now after the last hour?
Yeah.
Number one is leadership.
Yep.
Number one. And again, that doesn't mean it's got to be Mike Vrabel or Dan Campbell. All right. Those, like I said, when those guys walk in the room, you know who's in charge. They just carry themselves different. But I will also say Mike McCoy showed leadership when he stood up there yesterday. He had an intensity to him. He had a directness to him. He had a confidence to him. You know, those things are important in victory and in defeat. All right. In defeat, you know, you have to still exude confidence and command. So you've got to have that. I think some experience in the head coaching position would be preferable. Some proof of concept in that position would be preferable.
Yeah.
You know, to me. And I will tell you, you know, right now, the guy that I have circled that I would really, really be interested in, and I'm not saying that he would be the guy, but I absolutely bring him in for an interview, is Marcus Freeman from Notre Dame. I think he is sharp. I think he is an outstanding leader of men, and I think he would add some voltage to this franchise.
100%.
I need to know who his coordinators are going to be. What's his vision? You know, those things are important. But I love the way he's led that program. I mean, last year to lose to Northern Illinois and then come back and get all the way to the championship game.
Yeah.
And by the way, they were down big in that game and still made a push in the second half. I mean, they keep playing for that guy. And I know we talked about the Titans keep playing. They do. But it's different. It's different. He got them back to a championship level. And again, this year, they dropped the first two on the last possession of the game to 2 top 10 teams.
For sure.
Okay. But where does he have them at right now? I think they're ranked like 13th
and
in the country.
Blowing people out every week.
Yes. He's an excellent head coach. I don't know if he wants to go to the NFL or not. I don't. But he did interview with the Bears last year. So he's interviewed once before.
Yeah.
So see how he interviews, see what his interest is. And again, there are other good candidates. I understand that. Mike McCarthy is an excellent candidate. I understand the interest in Joe Brady and Cliff Kingsbury. To me, Cliff Kingsbury is a failed head coach. Why do you want to bring in a failed head coach?
Yeah, there are 3 guys out there who are being linked to the Titans as
Matt Nagy,
offensive guys with previous head coaching experience. Matt Nagy, Cliff Kingsbury, Arthur Smith.
Yeah.
And I think if you're going to go in that direction of one of those types of guys who second-time head coach who got fired and didn't have a whole lot of success in their first spot, you know, I think all 3 of the Arthur Smith never made the playoffs, I don't think, but the other 2 did.
Nagy was in fact an NFL coach of the year.
Yes, he was. And Cliff Kingsbury made it in the 2020 season. That was the Hail Murray year.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're going to go with one of those 3, I actually would say Arthur Smith would be the best because he understands
he knows the organization.
He understands the organization. He's been here for a long time. He's close with Amy, I'm sure. And I think it would make the most sense to bring him in here if you're going to go with somebody like that. I'm still on the Mike McCarthy train.
Look, I cannot argue with if they hired Mike McCarthy, I would be like, I get it. I get it. I totally get it. You're not going to get me to say a bad word about Arthur Smith. I've known Arthur for a long time. And I remember when the OC job opened up and I texted Mike Mularkey because nobody was talking about Arthur. And I was like, Mike, what do you think about Arthur as OC? And he said, Arthur will be an outstanding play caller in the NFL. And he came in and just lit it up. And Arthur's very well thought out. and very well planned. Now, is he a leader, in that capacity? I don't know.
Right. We'd
I
have to
don't know.
figure out, and you mentioned this earlier, like what happened in Atlanta, I
Mhm.
think is part of it. You'd have to do some deep diving on why did it not go
Was it the
right?
mustache he tried to grow?
Maybe it was. He tried to be too much like Vrabel
What?
with the mustache.
Well, I mean, Vrabel was, he was very short time mustache, mostly full
Right.
beard.
That's
By the
true.
way, what's with the clean shaven Vrabel?
Yeah, I don't know if I like it.
It's
I
not
wonder,
working for me.
does he grow the mustache back for this week and show up in the
Does he-
10-gallon hat?
Yeah, he should wear the cowboy hat and the boots and the buckle. He should show back up.
It's going to be an entertaining game on Sunday, no matter how it turns
Well,
out. Like
look.
you make the expectation that Vrabel's going to blow this team out, but
Yes.
it's going to be entertaining just because of the storylines around it.
Let me set the tone for everybody right now. It's going to be a bad crowd. It's going to be
Going to be a Patriots heavy crowd.
It's going to be a Patriots heavy crowd. Okay. There will be cheers. There will be boos for Vrabel. If he quit and walked away, he would be booed.
It would be all boos.
But he was fired. And so there will be some appreciation for much of the success he had here because he was a successful head coach here most of the time. It did not end well. That's what happens when you have bad players. Okay. And he's part of the reason that they had bad players. He does not get off the hook for Andre Dillard. Okay. That's his guy. All right.
Yep.
And that's just one of them. Okay.
He was involved in the player selection process. He didn't get his dream of being the head coach / GM.
Yes.
But he
does now.
Yes, he does. But he
now.
was involved in the player selection process, so can't completely let him off the hook for that.
But so it is not going to be a pretty look at Nissan Stadium on Sunday. It's not. And, you have to go in with the expectation that the team's not going to play great because guess what? The team's not good right now.
Yep.
So what I would say, if you're a Titans fan going into this game, is simple. Look for improvement. That's it.
If the offense can look moderately competent, I think it's a win on Sunday.
Okay. I don't know if we have time for this later in the show. You want to know what I think the Titans should do on Sunday?
Go ahead.
I think they need to air it out.
Yeah.
Because if you look at the stats, the Patriots, they're Mike Vrabel's team. They shut down the run. It's their number one priority. They shut down the run. They're giving up like 80 yards a game.
Yeah.
On the ground. That's what Mike Vrabel does.
Look at the Saints last week. They lost that game. First play of the game, deep ball to Chris Olave.
Boom.
Like I would love to see them air it out early.
They're giving up 240 a game through the air.
Yep.
They're giving up a lot. Now the Gonzalez kid on the corner, he can really play.
Yeah. Oh, Christian Gonzalez, great player.
Great player. But they're giving up 240 a game through the air. That's not to say that they shouldn't run it, but I think they need to air it out. I think they got to say, Cam, what do you want to do? All right, then that's what we're going to do. All right, we're going to go and we're going to do this. Give me your 5-10 favorite plays. All right, guys, this is what we're doing, and we're going to do this until we get to the other side, and see what happens.
I love it. And yeah, you're right. Christian Barmore, Milton Williams are up. They're the defensive tackles for the Patriots. That is a stout defensive front. Harold Landry's always been a good run defender too. Yep. He'll make his return to Nissan Stadium on Sunday.
See if JC Latham has a better game too.
Yeah,
I wish we could watch practice now.
I know,
because we get to watch like the first 4 sessions, which is basically stretch an individual.
Right.
But I have a feeling the tone of practice, and that's not Mike McCoy. This is Jeffrey Simmons.
Yes.
I think the tone of practice is going to be different this week. I think words will be spoken that the demand for more is there.
I think that's probably happening today over at the players were not there the last 2 days as far as I'm as far as I've heard.
I guess they'd be there for treatment.
Right. They might come in, but today is probably the first team meeting for Mike McCoy. I would guess there's going to be some fire in that meeting.
Yes. Well, and I don't know if that's when players speak up or if they speak up in the locker room or whatever, but I think there are going to be some veterans who have some words to say about expectations on the practice field.
Quickly before we go to break, because we were on Vrabel, does he get a tribute video on Sunday?
No way in hell.
I don't think so either.
No way.
I think he deserves one, but there's no chance he gets one.
Okay. Did he go to a Super Bowl?
No, but
did he go to a Super Bowl?
No, but he got this team to an AFC championship and a number 1 seed in the AFC. He won back-to-back division titles. I think at the very least he deserves a, welcome back, Mike.
Sure.
But,
welcome back. Not a tribute
maybe not a tribute video. Does
Did he-
Harold Landry get a tribute video?
Sure.
I think he probably does.
Sure, he does. Okay, two things. Maybe more than two. Mike Vrabel's a good coach. I am not disputing that whatsoever. He knows the rule book inside and out. His team will be prepared. He will be prepared. He is a leader. Okay. I like all those things. He's good. All those things. Having said that, did he take over the worst team in football?
No, he did
or
not.
did he take over a team that just won in Kansas City in the playoffs?
Yeah, he took over a winning team.
Okay. So he didn't have to rebuild it. All right. Now he did well with it. I'm not arguing that. He didn't turn this organization around. All right. Mike Mularkey turned the organization around. Mike and John Robinson.
Yeah.
With the 2016 and 2019 drafts. They also burned it to the ground with every draft after that. And then the GMs that followed, because I know I'll get somebody texting me, you're still blaming Robinson. I'm blaming all of them. I'm blaming all of them.
All of the player selection since that 2019 draft has not been good enough.
I'm blaming all of them. All right. All of them. They've all burned it to the ground. But yes, they could be better now. If you put together back-to-back good drafts and stuff, you could certainly be better. I fully acknowledge that. But yeah, he didn't save the organization. He did a good job.
Yeah.
He did a good job until he didn't. All right. And so, welcome back, Mike. Sure. Tribute video? No freaking way.
Well, I know it's not going to happen. Amy would not let that happen.
Would you do it if you were the owner?
No, I don't think I would.
Okay.
Especially with the way that it ended. And, I don't think Vrabel's coming in.
You know what video I would put up there? Isaiah Wilson, Vic Beasley, Andre Dillard. All right. I'd have a montage of those guys.
Welcome back, Mike. Here's Isaiah Wilson's highlights.
Yeah.
It's the shortest highlight video of all time.
Remember that $10 million we gave to Vic Beasley to not show up? That was a good time.
615-737-1025 is the phone number. If you have thoughts, you can text or call our phone lines driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. I did want to go back to Marcus Freeman quickly. We'll do that on the other side.
Marcus Freeman.
Corey is big on Marcus Freeman coming in. That's a name that hasn't been thrown out there a ton. We'll talk about him on the other side. Jake Lyman, Cory Curtis, Parker Kelly. Next man up, 1025 The Game. Next man up, 102.5 The Game, Jake Lyman, Cory Curtis, Parker Kelly with you. Looking at possible replacements for Brian Callahan after he was let go on Monday. Titans going with Mike McCoy as the interim head coach. I did see from Paul Kaharski this morning that the last 3 interim head coaches from the Titans have all gotten the full-time job at the end. So,
wow. So Fisher, Malarkey, and
it was on the tip of my tongue. Let me see. PK tweeted this out. Jerry Glanville was Jerry Glanville, Mike Malarkey, Jeff Fisher. The last 3 interim head coaches in Titans Oilers history all wound up as the head coach.
So Glanville was the DC there.
Yes.
And he got promoted.
Yes. So we'll see. They've said that they're going to give Mike McCoy every opportunity.
Okay. I don't think it's impossible, but it's not probable.
No.
But if he were to win, say, 4 of the last 11 and Cam is rolling the last 7 weeks, then I think he gets a real look.
I think he would get an interview, but I don't think you give it to him, right? Like you've got to look at your options, and we've talked about a good amount of them. But
I'm telling you, if Cam has 16 touchdowns and 2 picks,
right? If
he averaged 250 a game the last 7 games,
you might not have a choice. I guess.
You're gonna have a hard time not really seriously considering it. And I'm not advocating anyway that's what's going to happen.
Right.
It's a what if.
But right. And that's why you've given him 11 games. And Mike Malarkey, to be fair, he went 2-7 down the stretch and got the job.
And did a great job.
So we will see what Mike McCoy's able to do down the stretch. But we brought up some of the popular names, Mike McCarthy, Matt Nagy, Arthur Smith. You brought up Marcus Freeman.
Yep.
And I do like Marcus Freeman, and I think he could do a good job. But as you said, it's about the coordinators.
Yep.
And I think if you brought in a Marcus Freeman, maybe it's kind of like the Vrabel hiring where you marry him to an offensive coordinator and say like, hey, we've got this offensive coordinator we feel really good about who has NFL experience, and you're going to work with him. Because Marcus Freeman, having never been a head coach in the NFL, and with Cam Ward being the priority around here.
But is he going to leave Notre Dame to be dictated to about his coaching staff?
And that's the question too, which is why I would say it's unlikely that he would take that job. But with Cam Ward being the priority, the hire at offensive coordinator is just as important as the head coach. If you don't bring in a guy who is the offensive play caller.
And that's what again, we've said who are your coordinators, and that's really important with everybody. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter who. Mike McCarthy, the OC, is not so important because he's the OC.
Yes, Mike. Any of those 4 popular names of McCarthy, Kingsbury, Nagy, Smith, like that, they're offensive guys with head coaching experience. That's why they're being pointed in this direction.
Yes.
But if you went with a defensive guy, like a Brian Flores would be an example of head coaching experience, but a defensive-minded guy, you do have to find who is going to lead the offense for Cam Ward.
Well, the guy in Seattle's a defensive guy. And last I looked, they're lighting it up on the scoreboard.
That is true. That is true.
So
and
that doesn't mean you can't be good at offense. It means you got to have good players and you got to have good coaches. And that's why, you say, what do they talk about in these meetings when they interview the head coach? Philosophy is number one, but staff is a huge part of it.
Yeah.
Who are you planning on bringing? Because you can't promise you're going to bring people, but you can say, these are the guys that I'm really, I'm tight with this guy, and I've known this guy for years, and these are the guys that I'm kind of circling. But again, give me a leader on either side of the ball. And I don't care if it's a special teams coach. Like Bones Fossil, great leader. Great leader.
We were Jim Harbaugh, or excuse me, John Harbaugh, who their Titans fans bring him up. It's very, very, very unlikely the Ravens fire him after one bad season. But
it would be stupid.
But he was a special teams coordinator before he was a head coach.
You know who else was a special teams coordinator before they were a head coach? Mike Ditka.
Yeah.
Mike Ditka.
It's it is a lot more about leadership than it is scheme.
Yep. And that, no one would ever say Mike Ditka was an X's and O's genius.
No.
But what he did have was leadership and will and drive, and created competition on his football team, and a desire for complete and utter domination.
Right.
Every weekend.
He got the most out of his team, and that's what you're looking for in a new head coach. Craig on our text line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, says, I'm a diehard Notre Dame and Titans fan. You leave Marcus Freeman in South Bend.
I understand what he's saying. I do. But, we recycle all these names, and look, there's a reason you consider them. There's a reason they're also available. Okay, and I'm looking at a swing for greatness.
Right, a guy who is happy in his position right now. Could you pull him out of there?
And could he potentially be your coach for 15 years?
Right.
And we were talking in the break, there's not a lot of other college guys that we would consider.
Yeah, maybe Dan Lanning.
Dan Lanning in Oregon would
Ryan
be one,
Day.
and Ryan Day in Ohio State would have to be another.
I think if Ryan Day hadn't won the national championship last year, he'd still be kind of in this situation where fans are calling for his head, and maybe he would be looking for a way out.
Be Vrabel's OC up in New England.
New England. But, I don't know if he's in quite the same position he was 10 months ago, where it felt like if they lost to Tennessee in that first playoff game that he was going to be out the door.
Fans were ready.
Right. That's why that stadium was half orange, because Ohio State fans had given up on Ryan Day. And
Tennessee fans were delusional that they were going to win.
4 games later, Ryan Day lifting the trophy. Trevor actually went kind of where I wanted to go here. He goes, but Rand said they got everyone that was number 1 on their list when he's talking about
checked every box.
Well, no, when Brian Callahan came in with the depth chart of who he wanted at all his position coaches, and I think we got the top 1 at every single.
Well, that's because he didn't draft well. All right,
yeah,
because he drafted guys who were
inexperienced.
Yep. And look, like Denard is okay. I mean, he's not perfect. He's okay. But, when you marry a first-time DC to a first-time OC and a first-time special teams coordinator
and a first-time head coach and play caller.
Yeah, I mean, it's just too much.
It leads to everybody kind of being in over their head.
Yeah, well, and I know you got Callahan, Bill, to lean on.
But that I understand the Bill Callahan of it all, of like, he has head coaching experience, but is he going to really step on the toes of his son in that situation? Like, he's not.
I mean, you saw them talking sometimes on the sideline. Like, remember the Petit Frere game?
Yeah.
And he was just basically like, this is what we got.
Right.
This is what we got. He's terrible.
615-737-1025 is the phone number. Let's quickly go to Trey on our phone.
Trey
is called in. Trey, good morning. What you got for us today?
Good morning, guys. Good morning. Hey, I know y'all throwing out a whole lot of names and stuff, and a lot of those people are really good, but the characteristics I would want to see in a head coach in Nashville, somebody with violent tendencies. Somebody that's gonna come in here, somebody like a second chance opportunity coach, somebody that's gonna come in here and teach these guys how to play some football. Somebody like a Coach Lee, somebody that ain't really violent. You can't really tell that they violent, but they know how to get violent players. Somebody like that, you know what I'm saying? All these soft coaches that we're putting in there, I don't think the players react to somebody that's soft, especially when you're making $20 or $30 million. A year, so that's what I think. We need somebody that's going to come in here and teach these young men how to play some football. And y'all have a good day. Thank y'all.
Thanks for the call, Trey.
As demented and twisted as that was, I don't completely disagree with it, because like when Mike Mularkey took over, it became he simplified it. It became about just playing physical football, tackling well, blocking well. It wasn't about scheme as much. It was just about being more physical than the other team at the point of the attack. All right. That's what we're going to work on. And a lot of that is in the culture of the coaching staff, in what you're teaching, and what the expectations are. And so I don't think you need Charlie Manson or John Wayne Gacy as your head coach.
Let's get Greg Williams in here.
Greg Williams is a violent man. But you do need a guy where physicality is important. And I would tell you with Marcus Freeman, physicality is important. He's a defensive guy.
Yeah.
He's a defensive guy.
Yeah. There we go. Let's add it to the list of qualities we want in a head coach. Experience, maybe offensive minded, violent tendencies. That's what we're looking for.
Murder.
615-737-1025 is the phone number. When we come back, there was an article yesterday in The Athletic kind of summarizing the the situation with Brian Callahan, Cam Ward's first 6 games of his rookie year, from Mike Silver at The Athletic. There were some interesting quotes in there. We'll get Cory's thoughts on the other side. Jake Lyman, Cory Curtis, Parker Kelly, next man up, 102.5 The Game. Next man up, 102.5 The Game, Jake Lyman, Cory Curtis, Parker Kelly, along with you on this Wednesday.
We only play 80s Joel.
Yeah. It's 80s Wednesday. Parker has he's gone in and out of the 80s a little bit here. There's been some non-80s songs.
You've seen Step Brothers, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The band was Uptown Girl,
Right.
and they only played 80s Joel.
The Catalina wine mixer.
That's right. It's the Catalina wine mixer.
It is.
It's kind of a big deal, Dad.
One of the best movies
Oh my
of
gosh.
the last 25 years. So good.
It's-
I've been seeing clips from The Other Guys lately.
That's a great movie.
Will Ferrell. I think it is one of the most quotable movies to come out of the last 25 years. Like it is. There's so many scenes that I will reference
What
almost
is it
on a
with
weekly.
you and all the hot ladies? I don't know what you're talking about.
Did you just yell America as you hit the gas? So the TLC references throughout.
Yeah.
Don't go chasing waterfalls, guys. Like it's
Come
so
on.
good. You don't say I don't want no scrubs unless you're quoting TLC. So good.
Two great movies.
Yes, I mean
For guys.
Will
They're guy
Ferrell
movies.
had plenty of like any of the tandem movies, him and whoever, whether it's Mark Wahlberg, John C. Reilly, they're awesome.
Yeah, by the way, we're getting off on a tangent, so I apologize. Did you see the documentary where Will drove across the country with his good friend who was the former SNL writer who's trans?
No, I did not.
I recommend it.
Okay.
I recommend it. It's educational.
Okay.
And you see the difficulties, and you see the difficulties of friends trying to understand each other in those scenarios.
Yeah.
And being open to, and I know that there are religious views on this and everything, and I'm just saying not everybody's the same, and being open to other people being different and trying to understand them and seeing what they're subjected to that maybe you never considered.
Yeah.
So if you've ever got some time, I can't remember what it was called, but it was worth the watch.
I'll have to look into it.
I felt smarter after having watched it.
I definitely love anything with Will Ferrell. I mean, he doesn't make a whole lot of bad movies. So
well, that depends who you talk.
That is true.
My dad, who's passed away now, hated him.
Really?
But my dad had no sense of humor. I mean,
there's so many good ones. Old school.
Frank the Tank.
Frank the Tank. Some of the new, like Get Hard with Kevin Hart's a great one too. Like those are he doesn't miss on a whole lot of them. 615-737-1025 is the phone number if you have thoughts. We had Trey call in saying he wants violent tendencies for the next head coach. But I did want to check in on this Mike Silver article.
Sure. Because I have not read it.
So I wanted to get these quotes to you, and you actually mentioned one of these, and we'll talk about that one in the next segment. But this was the quote from a Raiders coach after the game on Sunday.
Okay, I think I have heard this one.
That might be the worst team I've seen in the last 25 years. They don't have any difference makers other than Simmons.
Yes.
And the whole thing was a total mess.
Yes.
No disagreement on the Simmons thing, because we've said that before, that when you're game planning for the Titans, you circle 98, and there's not a whole lot of other players that you have to game plan around.
No.
But to see that quote and realize that, hey, that is the idea of the Tennessee Titans right now.
Mm-hmm.
You knew there had to be a change, because the talent on this team, this is not the 0-16 Lions. This is not the 0-16 Browns. When you look at this team, there is more talent on this team.
Yes.
And for a coach to say, this is the worst team I've seen in 25 years, shows you that they were not maximizing the players on this roster.
I completely agree with that. I mean, look, there's a lot of room for growth on this roster. There is no question about it. But you have 3 first-round picks on your offensive line. Zeitler was a first-round pick.
Yep.
Not by the Titans, but he was a first-round pick. And then you've got big money free agents in Moore and in Cushenberry. That line should be good.
Yes.
I mean, I'm not asking it to be the best line in the league. It should be good. They should get more out of that. All right. Roger McCreary is a second-round pick. L'Jarius Sneed is all pro caliber corner before.
Yes.
Amani Hooker is a quality safety. I mean, Xavier Woods has played pretty well.
Yeah, Xavier Woods hits people hard. When he makes a play, you notice it.
Boy, I'd say, did Geno Smith hang out Ashton Genty on that pass?
Oh my goodness.
But I mean, there are guys who, and like Chig, we keep getting, and Chig isn't a star. Okay, he's not, and he hasn't been consistent in his career. But they're not maximizing him. They're not maximizing him, and so they can do more with what they've got. and they're not. I mean, number one, they don't stay on the field long enough offensively to do that. But there is more there than they're getting. How much more? I'd like to find out. Because I'm not crazy. I'm not. Oh, they could be a playoff team, but they shouldn't be a 1-16 team, which is exactly what they look like right now.
Yes.
By the way, having said that, if choosing if you depart ways or not, if Brian Callahan stays as head coach, do you think they win another game this year?
I wouldn't pick them to win another game this year.
No, I wouldn't pick them to beat the Browns. I wouldn't pick them to beat the Saints.
Right. The Saints and Browns, for as bad as those rosters are, I would say the Titans roster is better than both of theirs. They play more competitive football than the Titans do.
Thank you. And that's the thing is look, the Jets had negative yards passing Sunday. Negative yards. And not only did they score more points than the Titans did, they almost won the football game.
Yeah.
And that's embarrassing. Because, I mean, they played the Broncos. You played the Raiders. They're trash.
Yeah.
They're trash. And at no point did you like you were going to win that football game.
I said yesterday, and I saw somebody on Twitter was not happy with me for saying this because they said Cam Ward played just as bad as Justin Fields. If you watch that game on Sunday, that was one of the worst quarterback games I've ever seen from Justin Fields.
He took 9 sacks.
He took 9 sacks, including a sack on 4th down with the game about to end. Like, just throw the ball in the air.
Yes,
it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And that's not
Don't
even
be
the
afraid
worst.
of a turnover.
He had Garrett Wilson for a first down twice to extend that drive and missed him. Just missed him bad. And not saying Cam Ward played well, but Cam Ward played better than Justin Fields did on Sunday. 615-737-1025 is the phone number. Going through Mike Silver's article in The Athletic.
All right, fire away.
We'll get to this one on the other side. You've already talked about the Jeffrey Simmons, J.C. Latham at Thursday's practice last week.
I mean, we knew about some of that in the locker room.
Yeah.
And again, there's a fine line about what we're allowed to report and
Right.
what we're not. Like literally, like we're not allowed to report things that are said on the practice field.
Yes.
So for him to report that, it's not what he heard, it's what somebody told him.
Yes, it says according to several witnesses.
All right,
so we'll read the quote on the other side. Jake Lyman, Cory Curtis, Parker Kelly. We are with you on this Wednesday morning talking Titans here on Next Man Up 102.5 The Game. Next man up, 102.5 The Game. Finishing up the second hour on this Wednesday. Coming up, we'll talk some college football. Big games this weekend across the state.
All of them on
Tennessee.
All of them on News
Yes,
2.
all of them on
News
News 2.
2.
You can turn on, watch College Game Day, and then at 11 a.m.,
Vanderbilt LSU.
you can turn on News 2 and don't change the channel. You got Vanderbilt LSU, Georgia Ole Miss, Tennessee, Alabama.
6:30.
Back to back to back. SEC all day.
Like, your couch will be totaled when this thing is over.
Yep. There's no reason to move. No reason to change the channel at all. 615.
Just buy some Depends and lock it down.
737-1025. Yeah, is that can we get that SEC all day on ABC?
Brought to you by
Depends.
When you just can't step away from the TV.
So we will talk college football coming up at the top of the hour. But looking at this Athletic article from Mike Silver, the article was supposed to be about Cam Ward.
Yeah,
like he went to sit down with Cam Ward, and there were some interesting quotes about Cam Ward saying, like, when I learn how to play the way I want to play, this league is going to be.
Yeah, I like the confidence.
Can't say the word, but you can fill in the blank. But this one, and we've talked about this off the air. According to several witnesses, Simmons stopped Thursday's practice to point out what he considered a poor showing by second-year right tackle JC Latham, who had missed the previous 4 weeks with a hip injury. He says, quote, "I've watched you for the last 10 plays, and this ain't it. We need more from you," Simmons told Latham. And Mike McCoy all but confirmed that yesterday in his press conference, basically said, hey, we need that from our
He said
leadership.
I think unprompted, he said a guy stopped practice.
Yeah, no one asked him about that.
Yes.
I think he probably knew that was already out there.
Yes.
But he unprompted said, we had Jeffrey. He didn't say it was Simmons at first and then went back and kind of implied it was Simmons. But
I don't think that slipped out. I think that's a planned saying this is what we need.
Yeah.
And I'm putting it out there for everybody here. This is what we need.
And with JC Latham, I don't understand how we went from.
No.
Yeah. And you were saying this about how we went from they can't get him off the practice field.
Yep.
He's out in the rain as the sun's going down,
Yep.
hitting Olga and Bertha, to coming off an injury and having to be yelled at by Jeffrey Simmons that he's not good enough, and then playing the way that he did on Sunday.
That's the most troubling part, is the follow through. Okay. So, when you hear this and then you put the two together, and I've told you, I remember when Vince Young was this team's quarterback, and he's still polarizing to this day, but the reputation for Vince Young was always last guy in the building, to get there, first guy out. And they were playing the Pittsburgh Steelers, Troy Polamalu, James Harrison, and it was heavily suggested to him that he come in early and stay late and do extra film study and prepare. And he was good. He went off and had something he wanted to go do more instead. And Sunday came, James Harrison picked him up, dropped him on his head, and 5 linemen turned around and walked back to the huddle instead of getting in a fight with James Harrison or even lending a hand.
Right, picking him up off the turf. Because
they saw his preparation wasn't good enough. Okay. And so that's important. And I find it shocking, that happened with JC because of everything that you talked about last year, the work he put in the off season.
Yeah.
And every time I've talked to JC, I've always been confident of one thing. He wants to be great. He wants to be great.
Right.
And so the question now is, what happened? Why did it happen? And is it a long-term problem or is it a short-term problem? I would view it as a leadership issue, and Jeffrey Simmons addressing it goes a long way to ending it. And we'll see where it goes from here.
Yeah, and JC Latham, again, this is not like he went to some program where he wasn't held accountable. He played for Nick Saban too. So
but again, if he wasn't doing it there, who would stop practice.
Right. And I'm glad to see Jeffrey Simmons has morphed into a leader, because you weren't seeing this previously. And
yeah, he was a cheerleader before.
Yes, he would get in the middle of the huddle and he'd do the
fire him up, and that's great.
But
the leading is much different now. Much different.
I think it rang true for, I'm sure Amy Adams Strunk heard the comments from Jeffrey Simmons after the game. I don't think did Borgonzi and Brinker, I guess, said they didn't hear it.
Yeah, they pretended they didn't hear it.
I would
Come
make
on.
the assumption that they did.
Yeah, they just didn't want to talk about it.
Jeffrey Simmons saying that they were flat all week in practice and they came out flat in the game. Like that's an indictment on the coaching. And then Cam Ward saying the player-to-player communication is great, implying that there's some sort of issue with the coach-to-coach communication or the coach-to-player communication. I think when you see the leaders, because Cam Ward, I think Jeffrey Simmons obviously has become the leader of this team. And I think Cam Ward is a leader of this team. When those guys,
he's got to have some performance to back it up. He can't be the leader of the team if he's not making plays to win them the game.
Yeah, no, I agreed. Cam Ward, being a leader doesn't win you football games if you're not performing on the field.
Well, you can't be a leader if you're not contributing.
Yes, but those are the two guys who I think that locker room looks to. And when they're throwing subtle jabs at the coaching, you knew it was time for a change.
I don't completely. We can go round and round about if it was time or not, and if it's dysfunction or not. Look, they were the worst team in the league last year, and they're the worst team in the league this year. I know the Jets are 0-6. They're the worst team in the league. All right. They're the worst team in the league. And there's a reason they fired their coach first. Okay. So I like Brian Callahan. I wish him well. I wish it had worked here for him. I really do. But it didn't. And the results they're unwatchable. They're unwatchable. They have one watchable quarter. And you know what? That's not fair. That's not fair. They were up 16-13 on the Rams. They did do things. What was the other game?
The Broncos game, they were in that for a little bit, but it wasn't quite watchable.
No. But they had games where they were in it, but they were never they were never moving. I mean, you know what I mean? There was one quarter of that's what it should look like.
Yeah. No, the offense never found any kind of consistency.
No.
It was you'd get one or two drives a game where it looked all right. And besides that, it was punts and turnovers. And that when you're brought in here to be the offensive coach and be the head coach of this team, and your offense is that bad.
I mean, they're 32nd.
Yeah, they're averaging. I think it was Mina Kimes after they fired Brian Callahan said that they're averaging under 4 yards per play or under 5 yards per play or something like that. And she said that no team in the last 25 years has averaged less than that.
In this team, while not overly talented, there is more there than that. There's definitely more there than that. They've just got to get it out of them. And you could say, well, the players are making mistakes. Fix it. Make it so they don't make mistakes. All right. And I'm not talking about penalties. I'm talking about being in the right place at the right time, finishing plays, picking up, schemes from the other team, being prepared for it. There's more that they can do. There's doing things that the players do well, right?
We talked about with Cam Ward.
Yeah. I think that's, and you know what? That's all I'm really watching Sunday is do they do things that Cam Ward does well?
Yes.
Because if they don't, I'm going to be unplugged for the rest of the year.
Yeah. No, there is no expectation this team is going to win or even be close to winning this game on Sunday. But can you show that you can make the changes to start your quarterback development?
Can the quarterback start to take a step forward?
Because it seems like it's been steps back pretty much every week so far.
Yeah.
615-737-1025.
Which is exactly what Will Levis did last year.
Right. Yeah.
First half against the Bears was great.
Yep.
And then it just all went backwards.
He made the one big mistake. It felt like he never got his confidence back, and they couldn't get him into a rhythm again. 615-737-1025 is the phone number. Our phone line's driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Hour number 2 in the books. When we come back, we'll talk some college football. We'll continue to talk about Mike Vrabel's return to Nashville later in the show. And I haven't checked, possible that Mike McCoy is going to speak before we're out of here, as that seems to be the case a lot of the times on these Wednesdays, is that we run right into that the Wednesday press conference at the very end of our show. So possible that we see that. Have not seen a time on that yet so far today. Jake Lyman, Cory Curtis, Parker Kelly, next man up. You're on 102.5 The Game. Final hour, next man up, 102.5 The Game. Jake Lyman, Cory Curtis from News 2, Parker Kelly with you on this Wednesday, broadcasting live from the Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville studios, home of the $99 yearly Beehive membership, where the buzz is always about great service. Going to talk more Titans later in the hour, but I feel like we haven't touched on college football at all this week, which, understandably so, with Brian Callahan being fired on Monday. But we do have two massive games this weekend across the state. Another one in the SEC with Georgia and Ole Miss, and game day will be in Athens this weekend. But Vanderbilt taking on LSU here in Nashville. Again, 11 a.m. kick on News 2. And then the night game, Tennessee, Alabama. Tennessee trying to avoid their second loss of the season after, that's back-to-back games where they're narrowly escaping against teams that they should beat. They were in control up 17 late in that game against Arkansas.
Got dicey.
And let the Razorbacks get it back within 3. They do get the win. This is a game that, in my mind, it's very similar to where Vandy was 2 weeks ago when they went down to Alabama. Hey, is it a must-win to stay in playoff contention? No. But if you do win it, you feel really good about where you are coming out for your playoff chances moving forward.
Well, look, if Tennessee wins, it's an enormous win. An enormous win. Tennessee's, and by the way, Tennessee is an 8.5-point underdog. That's a lot. But we're talking about number 6 and number 11, and an 8.5-point difference. That's a lot. Tennessee's run defense has not been good.
No,
not been good. But Alabama hasn't been great running the ball this year.
They do have Jam Miller back, who we saw what he did against Vanderbilt.
He makes a difference. But they're still at below 4 yards a carry for the season. And so, I'm not saying it's a get right game. It's Alabama, but they've got to be better. If they're not better against the run, it's going to be a long day.
Yes. And the way Ty Simpson has been playing, that Missouri game was back and forth, and, you're on the road.
But they didn't waver.
Ty Simpson made some plays down the stretch. The throw that he made, it was like corner route down the left side, and that basically iced the game for Alabama.
Would you say they're getting some confidence?
Yes.
They're getting their confidence. They're not dominating, but they're not blowing games. They're not letting a game get away from them. They're playing like, hey, we're going to win this thing.
And they've won 3 straight road games or 3 straight ranked games in 3 straight weeks.
Yeah.
Now you got Tennessee coming in. This is not going to be an easy game for Tennessee. And again, if you do lose this game, doesn't eliminate you from the playoffs.
No, but you got to be perfect.
You got to run the table the rest of the way.
Yep.
The Oklahoma game may be looking a little more winnable after what we saw.
From look, they're not going to be easy.
Week. But no, and you still got to play in Florida, in the swamp at Florida,
which historically has not gone well.
Yeah, and Josh Heupel, as good as he's been as the head coach of the Vols, he usually has the one bad road loss per year, and he escaped it against Mississippi State. You wonder Florida, which has been a house of horrors for Tennessee, if that rears its ugly head in mid to late November, and then at the end of the year, we've been hoping and praying that we get the Tennessee Vanderbilt game for a playoff spot.
Yeah.
That's not going to be a gimme for Tennessee. Last year, they had to beat Vanderbilt to get in. This is a much better Vanderbilt team, albeit it's in Neyland this year.
Pavia was hurt.
Right. He was still dealing with that. And, we saw what he did against Georgia Tech when he finally got a little healthier.
That's right.
But it's a tough road for Tennessee. And that's what makes this game so important is you win this game. Now you're what, 6-1? And you come out of it feeling like, all right, we still have some leeway here. We can, if we do drop a game against Oklahoma at home, or we do fall against Florida on the road.
Well,
we're still in control of our own destiny.
You got to win at Alabama. You got an OT loss to Georgia. There's
that Georgia loss isn't exactly going to look bad on your resume.
It's not an eliminator. You lost an OT. You lost because your field goal kicker missed.
Right. You had a kick from makeable field goal range to win that game. I don't think the playoff committee is going to. Yeah. That game is not going to lose.
He had made a longer kick in the game, by the way.
Yes.
So yeah, I know everybody wants to blame Josh Heupel for that. The kid just has to do his job.
Right. And it's tough. College kickers is
but he's pretty good.
He is good, but
he choked.
It happens all the time. And You look back at the Alabama game a couple years ago where Tennessee does make the kick on whatever that wobbly ball was that just snuck over the uprights. You never know what you're going to get from college kickers.
No, you do not.
So
a drunk Brodus.
Yes.
I'd rather have a drunk Brodus than no Brodus. That was a good time in Tennessee history.
Did you see the kicker for the Pat McAfee challenge at Oregon this week?
The lady who didn't kick?
No. It was a guy.
Okay.
And he was fired up, Shout out the Bay Area. Shout out San Francisco.
I believe his name was Luca.
Yes, I think his name was Luca.
Oh,
and,
Luka Doncic?
No.
Oh.
Close. But he had Nick Saban holding the ball for him. And I swear he kicked the ball about 3 feet.
Yeah.
I mean, it was not close. And they gave him another one. They gave him a second one for $1 million.
Why?
And they said, and it's one of those things where McAfee saw the first one and was like,
he's got no
$1 million
chance
if you make it the second time. And it was better, but it was 30 yards left and 20 yards short. It wasn't close. But I mean, college kickers, whether they're students or actual kickers, you just never know what you're going to get. 615-737-1025 is the phone number. If you want to text or call, we'd love to hear from you. Our phone line's driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. I don't want to open this can of worms here, but New York Doug on the text line has been texting in about Jackson Dart. And he says, admit Jackson is much better than Cam, and it can be apple pie this week in your face. Next week, we add nuts, and it's pecan pie. Make me wait 2 more weeks to hear you say it, and things get real, and we go to cherry pie. Jackson Dart is not better than Cam Ward right now. And guess what? It's 6 games for Ward. It's 3 games for Dart. We're not going to know who's the better quarterback for at least 3 or 4 more months.
I mean, minimum. Did Jackson Dart have a good game on Monday night? Yeah. He did. He also concussed himself and somehow convinced them to put him back on the field. And they're getting fined for that.
It's not like he's lighting the world on fire.
No,
he has not gone out and been the best player on the field. He's looked good.
He did look good. But, again, sample size is important. Vince Young won the Rookie of the Year and then flamed out.
Right.
All right. So, yeah, it's going to be a long time before we know which one of these guys is better. But I mean, I will say this: you can't right now go, oh no, Cam Ward is better than he is.
I'm saying that Cam Ward. If you ask me long term, which quarterback do you want more? I would say Cam Ward. I don't mean to say he's better right now.
Yeah, I don't think you can possibly say which one is better. I mean,
yes,
has Jackson Dart had a decent start? Yeah, I mean, he threw for 110 yards in the first game he played.
I think it's fair to say Jackson Dart has played better. But again, if you ask me, take one for the next 10 years, I'm taking Cam Ward.
Well, and, the Giants wanted to take Cam Ward.
And then they passed on Jackson Dart once before they picked him later.
So, I hope Jackson Dart is awesome.
Right. I have nothing against Jackson Dart, but, let's not start these comparisons right now because nobody knows.
No, we don't.
And likewise, if Cam Ward plays great on Sunday against the Patriots and Jackson Dart sucks in their game, I'm not going to come on here and take victory laps saying Cam Ward is the better quarterback.
Okay. Look, there's a lot of quarterbacks we can look at. Look at Caleb Williams.
Yeah.
He still threw for 3,600 yards last year, but it was rough. He took 60 sacks.
Yeah.
And, it was tough sledding. But this year, Caleb's looking pretty darn good with a good coaching staff.
And not that Jaden Daniels has looked bad, but Jaden Daniels, everybody was saying the Bears made the wrong choice, and they very well could have.
But it's still early.
And who won on Monday night?
Yeah, Caleb. I thought Caleb played well.
Right.
He had a touchdown taken off the board that shouldn't have been taken off the board. C.J. Stroud, after his rookie year, everybody was top 5 quarterback.
Yeah.
And he looked amazing. He has not looked that good since, the Texans are 2-3. They're giving up 12 points a game.
Yes.
They're 2-3. And what does that mean? It means they're not scoring enough.
Yes.
Okay. And so maybe CJ gets it rolling a little bit, but he had a great first year. In the NFL, everybody adapts. It's how you adapt along with it. And so, Sam Darnold. Horrible.
Baker Mayfield.
Well,
Baker Mayfield wasn't horrible, but
he had injury issues.
Yeah.
But Sam Darnold was horrible. And he's gotten it figured. He's got better coaching staff. He had better coaching staff in Minnesota, and they get it. It all takes time. You can't crown a guy or crush a guy 6 weeks in.
Yes. You evaluate young quarterbacks over years, not weeks.
Yes.
And that's why it frustrates me when Cam Ward's a bust. They should have traded back and taken Jackson Dart. We don't know.
No,
Like, we won't know for a while.
Just be happy that you won a few games. I mean, gosh, New York has been a black hole of victories for as long as I can remember now. And, and I'm not just talking about the one team, I'm talking about them both. And so, the fact that there's a glimmer of hope at quarterback, I'm happy for you.
Right.
But that doesn't mean you've conquered the world and hoodwinked everybody.
And I'll say it again. If Borgonzi called up Joe Shane right now and said, hey, we'll give you Cam Ward for Jackson Dart straight up, the Giants would say yes. They would. I still believe that. They wouldn't say it publicly, but they would definitely do it. 615-737-1025 is the phone number. Got off on a tangent there. Let's get back into college football on the other side. Vanderbilt LSU this weekend. Vandy favored in an SEC game for the first time in over 50 opportunities.
You are not selling this enough. Vanderbilt is favored.
Yes.
Over
LSU.
Okay, you're not selling it enough. Vandy is favored over 10th ranked LSU.
There we go.
That is what I never thought I would see in my lifetime.
Yep.
Sure, you could tell me they'd be favored over LSU one day. I'd say that LSU team is terrible. This LSU team is ranked 10th in the country.
There you go.
And Vanderbilt, not only are they favored, Jake, they started as a 1.5 favorite. It's been bet up to 2.5.
Vanderbilt is the favorite on their home field against LSU,
10th
ranked team in the country. And I believe the number is 51 straight SEC games as an underdog. No more. We'll talk about it on the other side.
And you'll see it on News 2.
Jake Lyman, Cory Curtis, Parker Kelly, next man up, 102.5 The Game. Next man up, 1025 The Game. Jake Lyman, Cory Curtis, Parker Kelly with you for about 40 more minutes. Jason Big Joe taking over the top of the hour.
This officially my favorite song ever.
Really?
Yep.
Wow.
This is it.
Why's
Parker.
that?
Yep.
Nice
my
call.
Favorite song ever. When I work out, it's the first song on the playlist.
Wow.
Every
Parker, we got some telepathy through the
knew
glass
that.
here. Yeah.
I knew that.
Queen and David Bowie.
He could see it.
It is a great song.
Do you like Ice Ice Baby?
Yeah, of course. Of course. Fantastic. I was at a Titans-Texans game, and this was after Ice had, gone to the great pasture of one-hit wonders.
One-hit wonders, yep.
And he played halftime at Reliance Stadium.
Wow.
And he did Ice Ice Baby and Go Ninja and then sprinted off the field. And I was like, that is the best halftime of my life. I hate halftime shows.
Yeah.
I hate
most of them are not good.
Like, I don't watch the Super Bowl halftime show. I do not care.
Yeah.
I am the football guy. I do not care. But you better believe I sat there and watched Vanilla Ice, who, by the way, was in an Adam Sandler movie. That's My Boy, which is a horrible movie.
Yeah,
and I don't recommend to anyone
is
to
it
watch.
Andy Samberg in that too?
Yes.
Yeah.
Do not watch it. But the fact that Vanilla Ice was in it was tremendous.
Yes. Update also on the Titans press conference I just saw. 2:20 p.m. is they're doing after practice.
Yeah, and that's a coach's decision.
Yeah.
Some coaches like to do it before because then they don't have to answer to injuries.
Right.
But Mike McCoy is evidently an after guy, and I prefer the after guy.
Yeah, I agree. I'd like to, especially, training camp when everybody cares so much about practice. You'd like to hear from the coach after.
Yeah.
So Mike McCoy and Cam Ward at 2:20. So keep it tuned right here. The Cam Ward presser is going to be very interesting today.
Yeah.
To hear what he thinks of the changes and Mike McCoy.
Well, he's always so level-headed.
Right. I don't know if there's not going to be any sweeping,
I mean, he's going to say, thank Coach Callie. I believe in him. I'm sorry this happened. I didn't do enough to keep him here.
Yeah, he'll take some blame for it.
He said, but we got to move on. We got to win a game to win.
Yep.
And you can be respectful while saying you got to turn the page. Mike McCoy did it. And I believe Cam Ward will do it because Cam Ward, for all of the, hey, he's got to play better. He's got to do this. He understands the position.
Yes, he does.
And he understands the weight that the position has and the importance that his words have. When he said, what he said after that one loss.
We asked.
Yes. That wasn't by mistake. He was trying to let everybody know this is not good enough.
I think he's realized he could have gone about it differently, but in that Mike Silver article, he did say, I don't regret it. This is
he shouldn't.
How we can get the team back on track. So Cam Ward, Mike McCoy going to speak after practice today around 2:20. So you got us for the rest of the show. We won't be interrupted by a press conference like last week.
You're welcome.
Let's talk Vanderbilt here. Vandy hosting LSU, number 10 team in the country, and favored by 2.5 points.
And people betting it. People saying they will cover.
Right. 1.5. People said that's too low.
Yep.
Bet Vanderbilt. So the Commodores trying to get to 6-1, get a huge win, which again, it would set them up to be in control of their own destiny to get into the playoffs. Missouri's coming in next week.
They got to have this one.
I think so too.
You got to have this
because if you lose this one, that means you have to run the table.
Yes.
And you've still got Missouri coming in next week.
Texas,
Missouri's not a pushover. You got to go on the road to Texas, who Texas did bounce back last week and got a big win.
Red River shootout.
Auburn is, we saw last week, Auburn was a centimeter away from going up 17-0 on Georgia. And that's a team that's not going to come in here and just go away. Although
that was a well officiated game.
Yeah, it was. Yeah. I know Auburn fans out there, plenty of Auburn fans in Nashville. They're wearing their pinstriped shirts this week in honor of the officials. And then I don't want to look over Kentucky, but Kentucky's not.
You can do that.
Kentucky is the easiest game on the schedule.
I mean, look, they looked over Georgia State last year and lost.
Right. So you can't look past Kentucky, but if you're looking for a win on the schedule where you feel good about it,
that's it.
It's Kentucky. And then you got Tennessee and Neyland. So this would be a good start where you are like, hey, we've got 4 games now until Tennessee with a bye week in there. We go 3-1. We're playing for a playoff spot in Neyland.
Well, look, if they win this game, they're ranked 17th. they're at least 14th.
Right.
Well, I mean, they'll certainly jump over. So you'll jump over if you win this week. You'll jump over LSU. You'll jump over probably the loser of the Tennessee-Alabama game, and you could possibly also jump over the loser of Georgia-Ole Miss.
Correct.
Unless Ole Miss loses because they don't have a loss.
Yes.
And Georgia has lost. So
and Notre Dame plays USC this week, who USC just beat Michigan.
Yeah.
Michigan's
not great.
That's an elimination game, I think.
Look, it's a tough game, but I think Notre Dame's better than they are. Where's that game? In South Bend?
That is in South Bend.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I think Notre Dame's better.
I agree.
I think that game will be within 2 touchdowns. Which Notre Dame hasn't had a lot of lately.
Yeah, it's not going to be a blowout, but I agree. I think Notre Dame.
They got a coach fired.
They did. They did. Sam Pittman was sent out the door after that game. They're not going to jump over, Oregon, who's playing Rutgers this weekend.
But there are teams who are going to lose who are in front of them.
Yes, there are matchups of teams in front of them that if they go to 2 losses, you got a 1-loss Vanderbilt team.
They're going to be higher.
Vandy's going to be higher. So you put them right in to the conversation for a playoff spot if you win this game.
Yeah.
And honestly, I don't hate the matchup. Like, this offense for LSU has not been good. Vandy is coming off a game against Alabama where they made mistakes. And you look back at that game and you can say, if we just hadn't shot ourselves in the foot a couple of times,
2 turnovers in the red zone.
We could have won that game.
Absolutely.
Coming off a bye week, I've said it, and I don't know if it has any kind of bearing on the result of this game this week, but last year, Vandy had that 2 overtime loss to Missouri and then the bye week and came back and beat Alabama.
Mm-hmm.
I think Clark Lee and Jerry Kill and this staff know how to get a team ready when they have extra time. And LSU's coming off a must-win game against South Carolina. They got it done. I think Vandy is in a spot where if they play their brand of football, they can win this game.
Absolutely. I think there's a couple important points there. Number one, typically in the past, Vanderbilt would play a Georgia or an Alabama or an LSU, and they would be beat up. And in the next week, you would see the previous week play out in that game because they were so beat up. They either had lost players or players were playing while banged up. They are physically able to go toe-to-toe with those teams now. And also they have depth. So if a guy does get beat up, they can plug another guy in and play.
Yep.
And so on top of that, they have had the bye week as well. So physically, they can play with LSU. And LSU, typical LSU, really physically talented. The other thing is like you talked about with that Alabama loss, their confidence is not wavered at all because of that loss. I'm certain if you talk to them, they would all be like, yeah, we should have won that football game. We beat ourselves. I think the coaching staff has some things that they could look back on that game and say we should have done differently.
Yeah.
Run the football.
Right.
Because they were running it very, very well. And I think, Diego, who's had so many electric moments, that wasn't his. It was not the best day for Diego Pavia, to say the least. And I think he is going to come out with a chip on his shoulder again, which I think that's when Diego's best. He always has a chip on his shoulder. None of that changes.
Maybe it's a little bigger this week coming off that loss to Alabama. 615-737-1025 is the phone number. We will talk some more Titans before the show wraps up. But Corey, do you want to give your thoughts on the other big news of the weekend in college football when we come back?
Oh, my favorite guy, James Franklin. Sure.
We'll talk about it on the other side.
That was, I cried in my beer over that one.
Jake Lyman, Cory Curtis, Parker Kelly. Next man up here on 102.5 The Game. Next man
what
up.
is this? What is this?
What do you mean? What is this?
What is this?
Nothing's going to stop us now.
No, come on, man.
Do you not like it?
No.
Corey's been on and off
No.
with Parker's
Okay,
music choices today.
Okay.
Hey,
This has never really happened
It's
before.
a learning experience.
That is.
You know,
I'm kind of shell-shocked
If you
right
come
now.
at me with REO's Speedwagon too, I'm throwing you out on Murfreesboro Road.
No one's ever come after my music like this. Wow.
yeah, that's true. Honestly, Corey may have higher standards than TD does.
That was bad. Yes.
I'm sorry. I apologize.
You know I love you.
Next man
By the
up.
way, season's over for the Cubs, and I appreciate your support.
Yeah,
It was tough.
yeah. No more
It was
Go
tough.
Cubs Go on these Wednesdays.
No more Tigers.
Yeah,
No
Not until
Cubs.
April.
It was a tough week for our teams. I stayed up for
hey.
15 innings.
They beat the Padres. My postseason was really complete. And then when they stretched it to 5 after being on 0-2, I was pretty good with that because I didn't think they were as good as the Brewers. So
Yeah, I was kind of in the same spot. Like the Mariners were my World Series pick. So
Yeah.
for the Tigers to get it to 5, and I said after the Guardian series, I was just so happy to end the Guardian
see,
season.
we're
Like,
the same way. We were good with the first round.
Cleveland was saying everything about coming back from the 15.5 game lead to be the ones to end their season. Fine with me. I wish I didn't have to stay up for a 5-hour game to watch them lose in 15 innings, but it is what it is. 615-737-1025. Jake Lyman, Cory Curtis, Parker Kelly, next man up, 1025 The Game. One more thought on college football before we wrap up with the Titans. James Franklin, 3 straight losses.
It's not just 3 straight
Well,
losses.
it's losses to maybe 2 of the worst Power 4 teams in the
Yes.
country in back-to-back
Yes,
weeks.
it is.
And it is insane to think 15 days is all that separated him having the lead in overtime over a top 10
Yeah.
Oregon team to being fired.
Yeah.
And it happened that fast, but James Franklin is out the door. Penn State, the early names that have been thrown out there, Matt Rule from
Mhm.
Nebraska, a Penn State alum,
Yeah.
makes a whole lot
I
of
saw
sense.
Bill O'Brien back on the list.
Yeah, I mean, it worked out fine when he was there for a little bit. He was only there for what, 2 years?
He
3
was
years?
so miserable in Houston. I mean,
I mean,
just
it was-
such a miserable guy.
It was horrible. It was we just talked about this with James Franklin of like no one liked him there, I don't
Well,
think, but he
yeah.
won. That's what it was with Bill O'Brien. They won the division every year, but the way he did it was just not great.
No, and with James Franklin, that's what this taught us is they hated him.
Yeah.
They hated him.
But
They
when you,
tolerated him because he was winning.
Right,
But
you-
the moment he stopped winning, pack up, get out.
yeah,
I mean, we talked about Marcus Freeman, lost to Northern Illinois and went to the championship. This year, dropped the first 2 in close, but just continued. Boom, get out.
yep.
I mean, that means there's a heavy dose of we can't stand you.
And where does he go now? Is the question. We were just having the
There's a
conversation.
lot of places.
I was saying I wouldn't hate if he was the next head coach at Virginia Tech. I think it's unlikely.
I do
I
too.
think he's going to aim a little bit higher than that. Auburn is the one that you mentioned that I'm coming around on. I think that is a likely landing spot if
Yeah.
they hire or if they fire Hugh Freeze. And if Hugh Freeze, if they end up being 7-5 this year or whatever, 6-6, like they might fire him anyway, even if he is doing a fine job.
You could have 3 SEC teams fighting over him.
Yeah.
Arkansas, Auburn, Florida. They could have like a bidding war
Kentucky.
against you. No, let's be serious. Okay, let's have a grown up conversation now, Jake. Okay, those 3 could be in a bidding war. UCLA would be another one.
Yeah.
I don't know if he wants to go all the way out of the West Coast. I don't know if UCLA is willing to spend the money on football. I don't know if that school, if that's where they're at.
Yeah.
Okay, because they haven't been good.
It doesn't seem like it's a priority.
No. And so, I think I would be surprised. I mean, that's if he wants to coach. And I'm assuming he still doesn't have a national championship. So I'm going to assume if I were him, okay, I would probably look at Florida and say, that's my best chance to win a national championship.
Right.
And if I can get that job, I'll go to that job. Auburn, there's a lot of bologna sandwiches that go along with the Auburn job. A lot. And Arkansas is a tough job just because you don't have the recruiting base right there that you have with Auburn and you have with Florida, with Penn State,
Yeah.
you've got a lot of Pennsylvania kids. Also, we talked about doing well in the 757.
DC.
DC as well. So, and I know Arkansas, you can say, well, Texas is right there. Well, there's two teams that there's
Yeah.
more than two teams that
Yeah,
recruit.
you're not
Texas pretty hard.
exactly the premier program
There's
in Texas.
Texas A&M, Texas Christian, Houston,
Oklahoma,
Texas Tech, Oklahoma. Yes, I mean these schools all, and LSU.
Yeah, LSU's right there too. Yeah,
LSU is not. I mean, Louisiana is not far from Houston.
No.
Okay, and so all those schools hit Texas. So Arkansas is like the run to the litter.
Yeah.
So and so that's why when you're looking at where does he go, money is important. But if you're James Franklin and you have the reputation of great coach who can't win the big one, that's the box you want to check. So where do I go to check that box?
Yeah.
Florida would be if I were him, that's where I would push the eggs in my basket.
Yes. And Billy Napier,
he's not going to make it.
I don't think he's making it through another season.
No.
Where I think it was SEC Shorts put out there that he can only coach well when his job's on the line. He got the win against Texas, but
Florida's not a factor.
Billy Napier is not going to make it through the rest of the season, I don't think. And
well, even if he does, he's fired.
I think Franklin is definitely high on their list, and the coaching carousel is going to be crazy this year because Penn State, if they go get Matt Rule, now Nebraska's back open.
Who would you hire if you were Penn State?
I would try and get Cignetti, I think.
Okay, I could see that. Nick Saban would be my first call.
Yeah, I could see it.
Because they have the talent right now to compete for a national championship. He doesn't have to come in and rebuild it. Just coach, just elevate it.
Yeah.
Elevate what we got for 4 years and then walk off into the sunset.
The talent who was there, I don't think that they're all going to transfer if Nick Saban walks through the door.
That's a whole nother aspect
like
of
he
it.
gets to keep that. And guess what? Some of the Alabama players might come and play for Penn State. So that would be an interesting call. And it's one of those things, it can't hurt. Make him say no to you.
Exactly. No, it's the first call I would make. I don't know if that's what they'll do or have done, but it's the first call. I mean, I would certainly make that call before I called Matt Rule.
Yeah, Matt Rule, the connection's obvious,
Bill
right?
O'Brien.
But I think Saban's your first call, and then I would go Cignetti because Cignetti, he's what, 64, 65?
Yeah.
But if you can't, right now what he's doing in Indiana,
they're great.
Imagine giving him the resources that Penn State has.
They got 3 first-place votes.
Yeah, and rightfully so.
Yeah, they just won in Eugene.
I got to say, I did not expect much from them this weekend. And to see them go win on the road by 10 at Oregon.
No, it was really
like
impressive.
that has completely changed my outlook of the Indiana
again,
program.
They destroyed Illinois this year. 63-10, right?
Yes.
I mean, they did that. That's a good Illinois team that battled Ohio State. And what was that game? Like 35-21 or
yeah,
something like
it wasn't 63-10.
No, I mean, Ohio State controlled it, but they didn't blow their doors off.
Right.
Like Indiana blew their doors off. And then they go to Eugene and win. I mean, if you want to vote Indiana number 1 right now, I can't argue with you.
And does Indiana go undefeated? I think Penn State, they don't play Ohio State. I think Penn State is the only and they got an interim coach. Here's the rest of their schedule: Michigan State, UCLA, Maryland, Penn State, Wisconsin, Purdue. That is a 12-0 football team.
Yeah, absolutely.
Maybe you slip up against Penn State. Maryland has been better this year, but you look at that, they've gotten through the toughest games on their schedule.
Yeah.
So, Indiana.
Yeah. So I would call Cignetti for sure.
But yeah, you wonder if he wants to take that. Maybe he does want to finish out.
Where was he before Indiana?
James Madison.
That's right. I mean, he's used to doing more with less.
Right. I mean, I had plenty of friends who went to James Madison growing up, and I always knew that he had a great program up there.
Mark Byington.
You wonder why Virginia Tech didn't make the call up 2 hours down the road.
They overthought it.
They did overthink it.
A lot of people overthink it. Jerry Kill is a perfect example. When I was at SIU, we hired him from Pittsburgh State.
Yeah.
He was like a Division II.
Division II.
Yeah. But he was like 38-2.
Yeah.
And so we said, come on. And he turned us from a laughing stock to a top 5 1AA team in 2 years.
Right.
And then he goes to Northern Illinois. And guess what? They're in the Orange Bowl.
Yeah, they play in a New Year's Six Bowl.
Yes. I mean, it doesn't these guys who are winners are winners.
Right.
All right. And really, it's just a matter. So Cignetti could go to Penn State and he would win.
Right. You give him those resources, I'm sure he would do great. So it's going to be a mess, but a fun mess of a coaching carousel based on all the moves, and each move opens up a new spot for another coach to go. We'll have to see how it all plays out.
What about Matt Campbell?
Matt Campbell's
from Iowa State.
And
he's a good coach.
That's a name that gets circulated every year, and he never leaves.
And maybe he's kind of burned out of that job, too.
Right?
Maybe he's taken that thing as high as he can take it.
It kind of feels like Luke Fickell a couple years ago, of like, hey, Luke Fickell was rumored for years to be ready to leave Cincinnati, and where's he going to go? And he didn't. Then he left for Wisconsin. I think this maybe it's the year Matt Campbell.
And I know Luke had Cincinnati in that New Year's mix. I view Matt Campbell as more successful.
Yeah.
Like long-term more successful.
Yeah, I agree with that. 615-737-1025 is the phone number. We got one more segment left on this Wednesday. Chasing Big Joe coming up at noon. We will wrap up on the Titans coming up next. Jake Lyman, Cory Curtis, Parker Kelly, next man up, 1025 The Game.
I did it.
You know what?
I did it.
I you know what I appreciate? The courage to just pick another song without consulting me.
Yeah.
I mean, your track record's really strong.
You got to have a short-term memory.
It has been good.
Be a goldfish, right? Be a goldfish.
Yeah. 5-second memory. Is that what it is?
Let me ask a question because I'm old and stupid. Is that just Phil Collins or is that Genesis?
It is Phil Collins.
Okay.
You didn't take the suggestions from the YouTube chat? I saw that you were taking recommendations.
Here's the thing. I was taking recommendations, but I had a song in mind, and I thought that it might hit with Cory, and it did. So I trusted my gut.
Yeah,
went with my instincts.
It's a good call.
But I was just telling you, you bring REO Speedwagon out, and that's a fireable offense.
Yeah, that was not listed
in
the suggestions in the YouTube chat, but maybe we can get
REO
to some of those.
Speedwagon was in the.
It was not in there.
Okay.
No.
All right.
All right, wrap up the show here on Next
Because we're
Man
gonna
Up.
block those people.
102.5 The Game. I believe one of them is our intern who he's in on Tuesdays and Thursdays. So,
Okay.
But he did not say REO Speedwagon.
Good.
Next Man Up 102.5 The Game. Wrapping up the show here. Chase and Big Joe coming up after us. And again, always a reminder, Teron Davenport with us tomorrow from 9 to noon.
Interested to hear what he's got to say.
Yes. I'm sure that is going to be an enlightening show from TD, who we've had the conversations about Brian Callahan for weeks. Now that the decision has actually been made, I'm excited to hear his thoughts.
I appreciate TD because I view myself as a measured person. I kind of take things in and I try to figure them out before I open my mouth.
Yeah.
Because I feel like if I speak before I look, that bad things
Right.
happen. And I think TD is also measured, in what's going on and waiting till he knows. He'll have
For
opinions, but he will wait till he knows to really
Speculate or
say something.
Yeah.
Yes. And
So-
so I appreciate that. And he's going to source things and not just be like, yeah, this is what's going on. And I'm not saying that's what happened here by any means, but I'm just, there's a responsibility with what he does and what he says. And I always appreciate, he's one of my first texts always when there's stuff going on.
Right. Excited to hear from him again. 9 to noon tomorrow. TD will be with us. Andrew Allegretta from Vanderbilt Football going to join us for his weekly visit at 11.
For the favored Commodores.
Yes, the favored against a top 10 team. Got to keep emphasizing it.
Yes.
And with TD coming in tomorrow, I am excited to hear maybe some of his thoughts on how this happened and where they go from here. Again, we heard from Mike McCoy yesterday. We'll hear from him again after practice today. One thing I did want to touch on before we get out of here, Tavondre Sweat. Brian Callahan did mention last week that they expected to open up his practice window.
Haven't seen that.
With a lot going on that hasn't been stated yet today, if we don't hear something today, maybe there's some concern. I mean, obviously, if they don't open his window today, then he's not playing on Sunday. So interested to see what happens with him because
they could use him.
Similar to JC Latham, it's like, man, you expected year 2 jumps from both those guys, and it's been very disappointing so far.
What do you expect in this football game from the Titans?
Not a lot, but I think I'm hopeful to see changes in the offense.
Do you expect a bump?
Yes, I do expect a bump. Not a bump enough to keep this game close.
Do you expect it to be like a first half bump and then it to fade away?
I expect it to look better, even if it's not reflected on the scoreboard. I guess I think you will watch the game and say that team looked better than it did last week, even if they still lose the game by 14 points.
Yep. I wish I could say I knew what to expect because part of me says this is going to be a 42-3 meltdown. And then part of me says they're going to be more physical. I mean, I'm not saying they haven't been physical this year because they've been physical,
right?
But they're gonna look better. They're gonna be more organized. They're gonna fight as one more, and push. And Cam's gonna make more plays because he's gonna be in position to do more things. And again, that's all I want to see is Cam in position to do more Cam stuff.
Yes.
Okay. And so I can't say what to expect. I don't know, man. It's a roll of the dice.
Right. You can see progress this week, even if Vrabel still comes in here and wipes the floor with you.
Yeah.
But that's what you have to be looking for on Sunday. What does the product look like on the field?
All right. What's your the Patriots are 7.5 point favorite. They started at 6.5. What's your score? Do you think?
I just don't think Vrabel's going to let up.
No.
So I'm going to go
Well, he's trying to build a championship culture.
I'm going to go like 38-17.
Wow. I was going to say 38-14.
Yeah.
So,
I
yeah, because like, would 42-3 surprise me?
no.
No. Would 28-24 surprise me?
Maybe more than.
I mean, it would
but-
surprise me a little bit, but I mean, the Patriots have been very good, but I mean, they struggled with the Saints for a long way.
Yeah.
And so, we'll see. I mean, it's the NFL.
Yep.
It's the NFL. Titans winning would be a big surprise to me.
Yes.
That would be a massive surprise.
I agree. And going to be an interesting week leading up to it. Corey, as always, appreciate you coming in.
I always enjoy it, and I know it's always even more enjoyable for you, so you're welcome.
Yes, we always appreciate it. And again, as always, check out Corey on News 2 and
That's
settle in
right.
on Saturday.
That's right.
3 straight games.
So let me just tell you, News 2, we've got Sports Extra Daily if you want more of my talk. That's 6:30 to 7 every night on WKRN Plus, our streaming app. All right. Also, TN Nation Saturday night after the late news, but that follows a great day of college football. Vandy at 11, Georgia at 2:30, and Tennessee at 6:30. All of them on News 2. Thank you for the 1 minute for the shameless.
Yes, no need to grab the remote on Saturday. It's all on News 2. For Cory Curtis and Parker Kelly, I'm Jake Lyman. That does it for us. Chase and Big Joe are coming up next here on 102.5 The Game.